Welcome everybody. Market movers. This time it's just solo me because Brad wasn't able to make it in today. I guess he had a long weekend, so it's just going to be me today going over the positions, guys. If you guys really have questions, this way I can actually go through the chat a little bit more than I normally would. So for now, I'm just going to go over my positions just to start off a little bit here. So you'll see that I've got 3 longs, 2 shorts. Facebook. I'll get to Facebook because there's a whole story with Facebook. Facebook has been robbing me all day. We'll go through the other ones. I'll kind of do a review of all my positions, including the ones I've cashed out on. I've cashed out of 2 of them that you're now seeing on the board there. So I've got PTON, Roku, and Uber on the long side, ZBH and Facebook on the short side, and Facebook. Oh boy, Facebook. All right, let's get started here with PTON. PTON, nice little long on PTON here. The reasoning for the long, well, it was nice, and then it decided that it wanted to kind of change directions on me and never really got going again. So here we are, long up here at 32. If you guys can see that, yeah, you guys can see that. So I'm long right here at 32, and it just decided that it wants to go for a ride all the way to the bottom end of the range. My stop here is south of 28. That's that red line right here. The reason for the long, and I think this is kind of crucial here, is why am I going for the long when it looks like this? It kind of hesitated a little bit up here around 33.50 and change. Why am I willing to take on the long? Well, if you look at the daily, and this was my whole thing here, is that when we got north of 30, I'm automatically able to use 28 as a stop, given the movement, right? We kind of cleared this 30 area. I'm like, okay, great. Can I get a chance at that 30 this morning? And based on the way it was moving, I'm like, oh, I don't think I can get a chance. And we cleared 32.50. I was like, okay, there's going to be a problem. If this takes off to the upside, there's no way of getting in. So I'm going to jump on as it comes down. Turns out it decided that it really wanted to get going. We broke 30, 29.5. I mean, stop is 28. But we've got a long way to go back to the upside. And now I'm starting to kind of change my read on this a little bit here, is if we were to get back up to 32.50, 33 and change, and we stall out again, I'm probably caught in a little like sideways range and a little box that I don't want to be a part of. It doesn't make sense to take the risk. This trade made sense when we had the upside, but now we may have to wait a little bit longer for the upside. So I'm going to kind of walk away from this trade. And if we stall out, obviously I'm going to give it a chance to move it around. But in the event that we kind of stall out, we're going to walk away from it. What else do I have? I have Roku. Roku's been a story too. Roku kind of is just bouncing around here. So I'm going for the long north of this right here. The fact that we got above 160, I caught it on the way back down. It was like sitting at like 161 something. I decided that I was going to grab some 160s on the way down in the pre-market, and then obviously went against us all the way down to 156, snapped up to 163, kind of going sideways here. I'm okay with this though. The reason I'm okay with this is, again, you look at the daily. What is Roku doing on the daily? It looks pretty solid. At least the way I looked at it too. It looks pretty solid. The reason being, let's zoom this in a little bit. This is the daily off that 160. This is 160 right here. We broke underneath. We called it support. We broke underneath. We gapped up, came back down, checked the lows, and went right back towards 160. Okay, that's great. But in the overnight though, if we were to be able to settle above 160, which is what we were doing as of 8:30, I guess. So I went for the long, took the long. It's sitting 41 cents in the money. I haven't cashed out anything on Roku, so that one's sitting unchanged. We're waiting for this one to get managed. And Alka-Seltzer time, yeah, I hear you. My voice is going to be gone after 3 hours of this. For definitely, it's already sore just from last week. So here's the thing with me too, right? I'm not used to talking much. I'm more of just like a sit and think and on my screen type of person. So all of a sudden you get me doing, even with splitting the time with Brad, just going back and forth, my voice is coarse. And now you got 3 hours of this. This is going to be gone tomorrow. So if I'm sitting around just tomorrow showing you my screen, you'll know why, because it's going to be a long day. And Uber is the other one. Uber, I cashed out of some early. This was a nice little trade here. Actually, I should show you off this screen just to show you guys where, if I can get this thing going. Uber, come on now. Here we go. All right. So you see the entry? That's the entry right there. 37, just in front of 10. The average is like 37.13. Yeah, I caught that in the pre-market. It was like just before 8:30. Came down, rip up right off the open, and here we go. just in front of 38.50, right? We're out. We've cashed out half, and now I'm just trailing the rest. So that was one of the easiest trades I've made in the day. No drama, nothing. I may lose the level. None of that. It was just way too easy. Uber was probably the easiest of the day. And the reasoning for this, I'm going to go through the reasoning for all my trades. I've got the time. No, Prad's not here, so I got the ability to kind of just go through everything in depth a little bit more. So let's go. Should I go with the daily? No. Let's just go with the 60. This will show you what I was looking at here. It's this area, right? I was looking at 37. Reason being, we kind of spent a few days kind of working this 36.50 area. A couple bounces off the 34.50. Nice little take of this 37 area. And then what I wanted to see is how well are we trading? There's obviously some support or now resistance around that 37. Can we sit above a little bit? It looked good. Take the long, put the stop 35.50, because if it fails off of that area, it's probably not going to be good anyways. Take the run to the upside, cash out some around that 38.5 because we know there's going to be a problem, and then we just manage the rest. That's pretty straightforward and simple. And then ZBH actually I think is a counter move. Actually, before I continue on, let's just go through the chat. Let's see what you guys are talking about. And I missed a lot of the chat, so I'm going to be going right off the top there. It is the Arun show. Arun show, finally. Oh boy, you guys really wanted that one. Okay. So I don't know if you guys want to see me talk or hear me talk for 3 hours. That's going to be, I'm sorry. I feel sorry for you guys if you guys want to hear me talk, because it's going to be bad. All right, let's... Yeah. There's going to be people coming through. We got some guests coming on today. Obviously, Sean and Neil coming through here and there. And then we've got Greg coming in at some point. So Greg is the floor manager for anyone who doesn't know. He does the hiring and the training of all the brand new traders. So we're going to ask him some questions about what he sees that a lot of the newer traders going through, what he believes that they need to work on, and what the issues that he sees a lot of them, kind of keep falling into, the traps that they keep falling into that they need to kind of get through and kind of get onto, get onto the track where they're making the right progress to turn positive. At the end of the day, everybody wants to just make money as a trader, right? So it'll be great insight, especially with Greg talking about training and whatnot. What else you guys got? Let me get my pen and paper ready. You need to take notes. Apart from the trades that I've got going, of course, when you guys put stocks in the chat, when I get around to them, I will go through them, because obviously I'm looking forward to taking some more positions as well. I've got 5 right now, 3 shorts, 2 shorts, 3 longs. But at the same time, I'm open to brand new midday moves as well, because a lot of these moves I kind of capture early in the morning and then I kind of manage out. So obviously midday moves I would accept. I'll go through the chat. Someone says try EDU. Okay, first look is always going to be daily. EDU making quite the move off the open. 150 could have been the entry right there. Let's pull up that EDU chart. If you look at the daily here on EDU, 150 breakout. If you go for the long, you're probably putting about 10 cents or so. My issue, and this is going to be, like, you have cutoff points, right? I always talk about the cutoff points on the expensive side. So I don't trade the Teslas and the big expensive names like Google. And obviously after Google splits, I definitely will be involved. But like Google and Amazon, all the big expensive names, because my cutoff is about, I want to say about $700 or so. And the reason I have that cutoff is because if we get too pricey, it becomes a problem for me to be able to read the tape and respect the volume, because it's easy for levels to slip. And I have given how much time I spend on figuring out levels, I need to be accurate with them. So I just find the slippage on those levels, especially at those price points, they don't have a ton of volume attached to them either, right? So it's easy to slip a level on Tesla or Google, but with a single print past whatever area you're looking for. So that's the only reason I have a cutoff there. So let's go. It is Lonely Pew. Dan, it is Lonely Pew. It is just going to be one pew today. No 2 pews. So it's going to be solo there. And what else we got? 3,000. Yeah, likes. Of course. You guys got 400 likes already. I mean, we can get to how many likes do you think I can get solo? I know we can do 3.3 when Prad is here. That's what I saw last time. 3.3 for Platinum Prad. Let's see what you can do for solo pew. On my own here, because I've got 410. There you go. We're getting higher up there. And what else we got? T14, KVL. Let me take a quick look. Now, for anyone who's wondering about Val, she'll be back next week. She's on vacation. She took her 2 weeks early this year, and she's having a great time, and she will be back. And she saw, I sent her a screenshot of you guys when you guys got the 3.3 likes for Prad and his platinum hair. She was very, very excited about that. So she's definitely in the loop. She knows what's going on. Don't let it go, because she definitely will. Okay. Do you want it now? All right. Valeria is excited for Platinum Prad. In the meantime, though, we are going to go to Neil and see what he's got to say.
Just to be able to test, Rune doing yeoman's work, obviously stepping in for Pratt and Miss V going to be gone, but they'll be back. I wanted to come talk about two things. One, backed first off, it blew through that 530. There wasn't much of a curl. I was looking for it at the 530 level. You can see it didn't really happen. And now you're getting another breakout here. It's going to go to the 15, so you can sort of see back the last time we got to those prices. Once we broke the 530, I'm looking for that 6 to 625 area, and I got to see it. Like, either it happens or it doesn't. I'm not going to just jump into the short at any particular price. I want to make sure that it actually has some resistance at that level when you're anticipating it first. And then the other thing which is going on, which has been going on all morning, is 230 on Facebook. We just got down to 230.21 on Facebook, and just like on the morning show, I'm done reloading in front of this level. Like, we've been scalping off this multiple times here for $1 and then $2, and it's not giving you the breakout. At some point, it could take out that to the downside. I don't mind reversing into the short for a scalp trade just to see how far it could go. But 230 being put to the test big time here on Facebook. At some point, there's so many people that are probably even day trading long in front of this, and everybody has the same stop. So, eventually, if this breaks, you are going to see a lot of stops run at this 230 level. Keep up the good work, Arun. We got your back.
All right. Yeah, Facebook, quite the story. I think I've talked about, I'll get to ZBH first or after, but I do really want to talk about Facebook because the logic on Facebook was, I'm going to say flawed, but it definitely got blown up today. So I was long on Facebook, and I was long on the drop here. As you can see, this is the 15-minute chart, and we were going sideways. Obviously, we're kind of messing around with this 230, and I was like, after this rally on Friday, clearing that 235, 236, and we talked about this on Friday, right? I was like, oh, I want that 230, 250 to 233 area. That makes sense of the long. If we can get into that 235, 236, and then I can just kind of work the long a little bit better. I feel more comfortable with the long. Well, we got above it. Obviously, we went to 242 and change. We kind of just dipped around, went sideways. At that point, I'm like, okay, we bounced around 236 on what day was that? On the 3rd. And then we kind of got underneath and bounced right back with volume yesterday. And then here we are above, sitting well. I'm like, I'm going to go for the long. Well, let me show you guys exactly what happened on Facebook. Yeah, this is your boy going, let me move this over a little bit. That's your boy going long right there. And my stop on the 236 long was supposed to be south of 230. And I had upside at least $6. I was like, I'm okay with the $6 in risk, and I'll take the long to the upside and whatnot. What I started to notice, though, is that the selling became systematic. It was no longer, oh, it's moving down. It's something ain't right. Someone's unloading a ton of shares, and it's a programmed sell. So I'm like, at this point, this is not going to be good, because if I hold to 230 and everyone is looking at 230 as the level, that's a problem. So unload, just took the hit. Don't need to work on that 230 even level as the exit point. I see what I see with the volume. It isn't right. It's not going to hold up well. So I just got out, took the hit. I'm like, this is not working. I'm not going to get the support that I wanted on the trade. And then I flipped directions and went for the short and put up $1 risk. Made sense right up until there was a break in the sell volume, and it decided they wanted to go north of 232. So if anyone's wondering, that 230, 215, yeah, your boy put in that high, sorry. It was not a fun time, because timing of that did not work out well, but the read was right. I got back in on the short. So it took me to school. Facebook literally took me to school on both of these trades. On the long, getting just run over, and then the short, just the timing of that sell volume just drying up, and we took a relief rally up $1 or so. So I'm back on the short. The read is right. The program selling is there. It has kind of tapered off a little bit. But what concerns me is the amount of people looking at 230 even as the break point or as the level where they want to get involved. I feel that if we get closer and closer to 230, there's going to be a vacuum below it, and that worries me. And that's why I'm playing on the short side. I like the read the first time. Obviously, it didn't work out on the short side. I mean, it didn't work out. Obviously, the long didn't work out, but the short side didn't work out the first time. Timing was off. Second time, we're okay. I've got that 96. We're going to ride this down and see if we can get a gap down through 230. I want to see some volume. I want to see stops. I want to just see absolute unload south of 230. If we get that, I'm going to wait to see what happens on the way back. If we get that and we flash right back out, I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm not going to hold on. So that's kind of my logic on Facebook. Obviously, you know, the first two trades didn't work out too well, but I'll stick with it. And it's 82 cents in the money trying to make some of the damage back on Facebook. So we're okay for now. And then the last trade, there it goes, 230. And how low did we go? Yeah, we went 50 cents. We went 50 cents right through. That's what I was talking about. There's going to be a vacuum south of 230 because everyone's got stops there, and it's pretty obvious. That's the problem, too, is when stops and levels get obvious, you are not going to be able to like protect your risk on something like that. It becomes a massive problem. So now that I'm up $1.30 and I'm already short well above 230, I can protect this position. We're either going to continue this extension as we kind of keep going as more selling gets involved, or this was just a flash in the pan, stops got taken out, and we're going to flash right back above. At this point, I can move the stop to a point where it's break even. If it comes back to 231, I can just walk away, take the 5-cent hit, call it a day, be like, you know what, I tried to take a shot against this 230. It didn't work out. I can walk away. I tried at least, right? So it's just one of those things where you got to be smart about it too, where the more obvious something is, the easier it is to mess with it. Obvious levels, obvious round numbers, it's easy to take out stops and come right back. So now all you have to do is just make sure that that's not the situation, that there is actual selling. And I think a prime example is that as soon as we broke 230, the stop was, the low was 229.50. So unless you're okay with a 50-cent slippage on this breakdown, you do have to be aware of something like that happening. And I've seen that happen a lot. I've had it done to me a lot. So I kind of learn and identify when something's not about to go the right way or something's about to happen. And they all have tendencies. All these stocks have tendencies. You just got to pay attention to what it's doing as it gets to a price point. So it's just one of those things where experience, right? And then the last one I've got, ZBH, which is about $3 in the money or so. There goes Facebook. Looking at 229 now. If we can just keep going, I can make some of this money back. Okay, ZBH is the other one. ZBH, I'll go over a little bit here. It was a daily read, and I was fading into a rally off the open. And the reason I was fading into this rally is this. Okay? Consolidation. We're talking consolidation, not just a few days. We're talking months since late October. Pretty much not October, late November. Since the end of November, we've been going sideways. For the most part, around this 120/115 area. So finally, when we gap underneath or we open up underneath based on pre-market trading, because pre-market looked like this. So there was like next to no trading pre-market. We're opening down here. And I know there's going to be resistance based on what we've done for the last few months in the 118. Yeah, I'll take some on the run up. So I decided that, you know what, I don't even want to wait to 118. I'm okay kind of stepping in front because I like the read. I like the setup. I don't need to wait right till the end. So I made sure I got myself in front of 117 right here. And then here we are sitting in a $2.89 winner. And all I have to do is manage. Because if we bounce back again above 115, I'll walk away, take my $2. There's no point in kind of holding on to this trade. At that point, we've kind of double bottomed. There's a whole thing with it, at least the way I manage. And there goes 229 on Facebook. No. 228.84 was the low. We got close. I wanted to see more of a movement towards 229, as in like more trade volume. As you guys can see on the top left there, that's Facebook right there for you guys. If we actually get through there, it makes my job a lot easier, and I'll also welcome this because this is like damage control for my part. So this is one of those things that I'm going to be waiting for break on Facebook as we go to Brendan. No, Brendan?
Hey guys, just want to mention this. This was out a few minutes ago. CFVI, which is the Rumble SPAC, huge spike to 15 and a half here. The company itself coming out with this, inviting the Joe Rogan Experience to bring its podcast over to their platform, it would appear. So that seems to be what caused this move up for Rumble, guys.
All right, back to me. Brendan's got you the info there for anyone wondering. And now we're back looking at Facebook because, you know, that's going to be the exciting story. And the reason why Facebook, I think, is such a big deal, apart from the fact that it's gone 25% and all that stuff, Facebook's a big component of the NASDAQ index. It's in the top 5. So when Facebook decides to go, it's going to have some influence. Obviously, it's not as big as, say, Apple or Microsoft with the 10 and 11% ratios in the NASDAQ 100, but Facebook's got some weight. So that's definitely something that you got to pay attention to as a market mover. And I think as we get closer to the end of the day, how Facebook trades the rest of the day will be crucial in how the NASDAQ is going to handle the close. So keep an eye on that. For now, we're going to ride Facebook out, bounce off that 229 at the time. Yeah, for the time being, it does look like it wants to bounce off that 229. That's cool. Let me just move my stop on Facebook. Like I said, break even. I want to see us stay south of 229. And if we can do that, or not even to 229, just at 330. I want to see what happens on the move back up towards 330 or 230. And at that point, we can just, you know, be more comfortable with the idea that, you know, the short is actually finally breaking down. This is not just a push out kind of idea. So it's just one of those things where you do just consistently pay attention to it because it's going to be a big deal. And what else we got? ZBH is coming back. Did I move the stop on that? I need to move my stop on ZBH too. That's a thinner one. So ZBH, for anyone wondering, what does ZBH look like? That's a New York one. Yeah. It's got about, 15-cent spread, 2.5 million shares on the day. It's not as bad because in the pre-market, the spreads were much bigger. So it's not as bad now. So I'm okay with putting a hard stop in. That's the other thing. Sometimes on very thin stocks, I will not put a hard stop in because that's going to cause a mess, right? What's a hard stop? Well, if a stop gets triggered, the order goes out automatically. So let's just say I put the stop at 114.15. If it takes up another 2 cents, it's just going to send the order out. And depending on how much volume you put in this order, it could start wiping out levels, and that's not going to be a fun time if you want to control the exit prices, right? So for me, ZBH, not that big of a deal. I can put some stops out there on ZBH and see if we can't actually protect some of this. Yeah, that's the other thing I noticed too. I'm very good going back and forth with Prad. With Prad not here, it's like someone said, I'm arguing with myself. Prad's like, he's going to take the day off and let Arun argue with himself. Yeah, that's exactly what it's going to be. So there we go. Let me just get that ZBH order in there. And there we go. What's that? Okay, I'm good. I think I'm good for now. So here we go. Let me just go back to the chat here. What's everyone talking about? CFVI. Is CFVI really going? Oh boy, why doesn't that now show up on my... Oh, it is here actually. Oh yeah, it's on my alert system. Not my alert system, my screener. CFEI, oh boy. Okay, what does the daily look like? Shout out to the chat there for putting up CFEI. Let me get that up. There we go. And let's see what the daily looks like. Where is CFEI? Ooh, okay. North of 1550. Okay, so this is going to be very interesting. If we can maintain strength above 1550, that clears the zone, whatever this was. What is this, like mid-October? No, mid-December, I mean. Early to mid-December, around this 15 to 1550. If we can stay above here, this will be a nice little long. But what are we doing? This is the 15-minute chart. Now I want to see what we're doing on the 15. Stalling out a little bit. Okay, let me see what the 5 looks like. Because what I'm trying to figure out is, do I want to fade this against the high is the question. And based on the activity, not yet, but I'm going to put this down here. ZBH is under control, so we don't need to move the stop on that. So we'll leave that alone. And CFVI is just one of those things where keep an eye on it. We know the high is there. So that was just a washout high from the December levels, 1550 and change. If we get more selling, then I think it might be time to fade this. But for the time being, respect the strength, leave it as is, and we'll just kind of put it aside and just go back to Facebook. What is Facebook doing? Let's go. Facebook, 228.50. Okay, Facebook. See, this is what I need. More of this. More of this kind of movement allows me to kind of work the short. And do we have targets is the question. I think if we were to pull up the daily on Facebook and we were to be like, okay, what's the downside? I have nothing. Let's move. Okay, in this situation, we're going to remove all this. We're going to go to the weekly chart because I don't think I have anything on the daily that I can use nearby. And we've cleared 230, 240, 230 is gone now. What do we have? Oh boy, 215. That's on the weekly chart. I probably need to break it down a little bit more, going back to what is it, June 29th? Okay. Great thing about the Eastern Signal chart is I can actually go directly to that date without having to scroll back. So let's just go right back to June 29th of 2020 is going to be somewhere where we were. I don't typically go back too far. I'm not a fan of going so far back because it's a time value situation. At least the way I see it is a time value situation, right? The further you got to go back, the less value that info has. So I'll look at it just because I want to see what's going on around that 215. Yeah, there's something here. It looks like there's something here around that 215, 216. All right, we'll keep an eye on it. I'm not going to set that as a hard level, but I do want to keep an eye on this stock as it gets closer. If it were to continue on, then I'd like to keep an eye on this as we get closer and closer. I see Palantir, and I see Ford. I see you guys talking about it. PayPal rejecting higher lows. Okay, you guys are throwing up some stocks for me to look at. Okay, PayPal. Oh, wait, hold on. Before I go to any of the stocks that you guys are talking about, hold on. I saw something go off here in my alerts log. I just got to figure out what stock it was. Facebook obviously broke. Snowflake. Oh, right. Oh, no. Okay. Snowflake was at that 300 mark. I wanted to fade this if we ever lost momentum on Snowflake as we got to 300. And it looks like we finally got that. Not yet. Ugh. Okay. Still strong. What I'm looking for is like multiple rejections of attempts to go up. So I know that there's sell pressure coming in. It was meant to be against the 300, but we took the 304s, it looks like. So now, since we took 294, I want to see some more action on the sell side on a bounce to the upside. So for now, we're going to keep an eye on Snowflake. What I'll do is I'll remove the alert for the breakdown on Snowflake, and I'll put an alert for in the event that we got above 296, then I want to know, that's when I want to keep an eye on this, right? If we get above 296, then we start to fade out a little bit, then I can go be more confident with the idea of going for the short. But for the time being, we're going to leave it as is. It looks like ZBH is bouncing, so that's now a $2.35 winner and coming back. So I'm probably going to walk away with $2 if the stop gets hit. PTON, PTON is not helping my situation here. PTON just does not want to cooperate with the idea of going up. And the stop is 28, but at least I thought, we're sitting around 30. We might get a bounce here. Nope. It decides that it wants to continue on to the downside. So we're not going to do anything with PTON. We're still waiting on Snow. We're still waiting on CFVI. Thank you guys for the chat, by the way, for CFVI. So at least that now I'm looking at that as well. And what else we got? Tesla. Guys, I mean, I'll put up Tesla and we'll talk about it, but you guys know me and my cutoff points on Tesla, right? Tesla is just too rich for my blood at this point at $900. If this fell another $300, I'm down with Tesla. I can trade Tesla at that point. Even with Tesla as the volume that it trades on a per day basis, it's just the absolute value. It's just, for me, it's just the price point's just like nuts. So it's just one of those things where Tesla still, we talked about this days ago, where 1,000 is going to be the cutoff, or not the cutoff, but the 1,000 is going to be the stop. And in the event that we find a setup here, or if anyone who's trading Tesla, if you find a setup somewhere between 950 and 1,000 for a short, I mean, that'd be ideal in terms of risk, right? In terms of support bases, I would imagine you would have to take 850 to open up the downside. So if you got 875 going on down, that That could be a long as well. But again, too rich for my blood. I'm going to stay away from it. And what is Facebook? Is Facebook still going? Facebook, yeah, 228.50. Facebook accelerating to the downside, brand new lows. Hey, we captured it at the right moment. I just looked over the chat there. I was like, PayPal, thinking about the 128 break. I was looking at PayPal this morning too. It was one of those names where I was like, do I want to trade this today? And I was looking at it. I was like, okay, is there a daily level that I can work with? And obviously you got nothing, right? Like, I mean, yeah, you get a movement like that, and then we kind of do this, and it's like, oh, okay, there's no help from the daily. I'm going to have to trade this on the intraday basis. You said you were looking for long break of 28 now? Okay. Here's the issue I want to say with PayPal, and I was looking at this earlier, and this was my issue with trying to go for the long earlier, is that if you go for the long at 128, this is pretty much 128 right there, right? Look at what you run into today. Well, ignoring what happened earlier this morning with that tail all the way at 129 and change, if you took the 128 long, you run into action at 129, 130. Essentially, PayPal has to clear, I would say, 135 to open up any sort of upside activity, because up until that point, there's just sell side resistance all the way up. You break 130, it could easily fail at 131, 132, right? So the long would have to be justified if the risk was very, very low. So if you take the 130 break and you're like, I only have to risk like 50 cents, you might get that move up to 132 and you're getting like a 3-for-1 payout. So that kind of makes sense. But in terms of path of least resistance on PayPal at the moment, the way the charts are working, I don't know. It's not looking too pretty. As I say that, path of least resistance on Facebook, clearly to the downside, because Facebook is now $3 as it just took out 228. Hey, why not target 215? We saw it on the weekly. We saw that almost 2 years ago, June, okay, a year and a half ago, and we can put it out there. They took 230. They spent a ton of time waiting for 230 for the last few days. Let this one go. Let this one go and see how much we can capture before we need to start managing this, right? Because right now, trend is to the downside. We saw volume earlier. Everyone who's been long just got flushed out at 230, and now it's starting to accelerate with more sell side volume. Yeah, let it go. We're not gonna kind of hold on to this and over manage this. Sometimes I think that's a big thing too, is that over managing a position. It's easy to do, but if you can get past that, you can actually just sit back and wait and let the trades work out. I like to say a lot, I like to let the trades breathe. The upside of letting a trade breathe is that you capture big moves, right? You get runners, you are letting trades fluctuate, and you're not getting stopped out of trades. You know, how often does that happen? It used to happen to me a lot too. It's like, oh, I got the right read, and then like I'm in this trade for an hour, and then I'm like, oh man, it doesn't look like it wants to go. Let me just tighten up the stop a little bit. Stop gets hit. I walk away with like a small winner, and an hour after that, the trade takes off, right? You're not trading time. You're trading the move. You're trading the read. So if the read is good, whether it's now or later, regardless of when it decides to go, it's either going to go or it's not going to go. And I think as traders, you want to make the trade as binary as possible. You win or you lose, but a lot of the times it's the psychology level of the trader that changes the odds from winning, or you're going to win on this trade or you're going to lose on this trade. It could be a 50-50 or whatever. And then you step in as a trader with, you just kind of interfere with the trade, and all of a sudden you're losing more than the trade should lose, or the strategy should lose, because you're interfering with the trade, right? So that's my whole thing about, I tell traders that, anyone who asks, I'm just like, just let the trade move. Like, it's a binary decision. Once you've made your read and you know the accuracy of your strategy, let it work out, because it's either going to win or it's going to lose. That's two things. It's either going to win and give you information that the read was right, you made money for that read, or it's going to lose, and maybe after a few losses, you can readjust something that you may have missed on your strategy. So it's just one of those things where I just like to trade. I just like to let moves kind of work themselves out. So it's just just be aware that a lot of the times I'm sitting waiting for trades to happen. And in the event that doesn't happen, you see what's happening on PTON and Roku, right? Roku was all over the place. It was a big $2 winner, $3 winner at one point. Now it's a $2 loser. PTON hasn't turned around yet, so we're just waiting for something to happen on Roku. My trade is good. The stops are in place. If it wants to go, it's going to go. If it doesn't, it doesn't. When it gets to a point where I need to manage the trade, I will go ahead and do that. But for the time being, we're just going to let PTON and Roku do their thing if they want. That's the other thing. It just reminds me is that if your accuracy is 6 out of 10, which is 60%, you win 6 out of 10 trades, you don't know what order those wins are going to come in, right? Should you trade differently if you go 6 in a row, 6 winners, and then 4 losers, or if they're spread out, like 1 win, 2 losses, or if you go 0 for 4. And I would say a lot of traders will trade differently if they go 0 for 4, and then by the time they get on their 5th trade, they're going to hesitate a little bit. And that's what I mean by letting the system work itself out, let the strategy play itself out, is because you don't want to interfere with it. If you know you have a 60% accurate system, let it be 60% accurate. That means you got to take all 10 trades to get that accuracy to 60%. If you interfere with that, then that affects your numbers. And I'm a big numbers guy, right? So it's just one of those things where I just sit back and, hey, look, it's not working out. Or I'll just mark that down and be like, oh, maybe I need to change something on the futures. And to be fair, I did change, and I made an adjustment on my futures approach as well after last week. Be like, I've been waiting for trades, and I took like 1 trade on Monday and then took nothing on the next few days. And I realized that it was a volatility adjustment that I needed to make. So I adjusted for volatility. So now I'm more receptive to more reads based on the way the market's trading now. All right, let's see. Add more to the shorts on for Facebook. So my whole thing with adding positions, or if it's planned out ahead of time, I'll average into a position. Would I get into a brand new Facebook trade? I will, but I separate them. It's not like I'm getting more just because this one's in the money. I'll get more if it makes technical sense. So if I move the stop on Facebook to wherever the trail point is, for now we're going to leave it as is, or I'm not going to touch this. But if I move the stop on Facebook and I start to notice that we're really starting to hesitate around the new trail point, then I can take a shot, be like, you know what, it makes sense to take some more shares there because I can actually average this down. And in the event that the stop goes off, obviously I'll make money on the first little bit, I'll lose on the second little bit, and then the stop breaks, and I can walk away and be confident that technically this trade is done. I can just be confident with that. So I don't average for the sake of averaging like in the money at this point. I'm not going to average into Facebook on the way down, even though I'm sitting on a $3 winner. That's not going to happen. I'm going to let this one play out because, again, the way I trade, I don't move the stops fast, right? So I move the stops very, very slow. So if I'm taking on more and more shares, when it finally pops, I'm just over leveraging myself, and it's not going to be positive by the end of it. So if my stop comes down, then I can find a way, or I'll look for a way to get some more shares, at least to lock in some more capital or cash. But for the time being, I'm not going to jump on board and just keep going with it. Just because it's moving in the money. All right, what else we got here? What did Sean do with the Facebook long? Sean, what did you do with the Facebook long? No, are you out of it now though?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
He said basically he's out of it. So
I'm not going back long until we get above 230.
all right, so Sean's not gonna go long again until we get above 230. So he's for the most part he's out. And it's still going. It's at 227. It's about to take 220. Well, I don't want to say about to. The low is 227.05. And if we take that, we'll just keep going and let it work. AMC testing 15. Facebook should spin out Instagram. I mean, a lot of people are more towards Instagram now. Anyways, I think Facebook law. I don't even say it because I don't know their business, nor do I know their numbers. So, but Instagram is obviously a big component, and that's what everyone's paying attention to on the downside. Or that's what everyone is paying attention to. AMC, that's what I wanted to look at. AMC. Ooh, AMC, boy, okay. This is messy. I think I made last week when we were up 18 something and somebody was asking, is it time to go long? Downward trend, respect the trend, right? Sometimes trend is your friend, but if you want to go long, at least let it break first, right? If you're short, great. You could draw trend lines. I try not to because, again, it's entirely subjective. So I could draw this, but then someone else can come and draw this, which kind of changes where the break in the trend point is by a few dollars. So it really doesn't matter, but I just like to look at the angle. Look at the angle. It's still down. Any move to the upside is going to be sold, it looks like. It's going to have to be this red line here. 21 even has to be the red line. That's a red line. If we can get above that, we have a chance to kind of stabilize. But the fact that we're still moving to the downside on AMC, every upside move is being sold. I mean, if you want to go long, it's just one of those. Technically, it's not there yet. So we're going to have to wait for this to rotate a little bit more. If you want that long, I think for now, it's just respect the trend. The trend wants to go to the downside. I say this a lot in the morning, too, when I show up on the futures segment. I was like, the market wants to do this. Just respect what it wants to do. It is your job as a trader to figure out what the market's telling you through its charts and however you analyze the information that the charts are telling you. At least I look at the futures chart and be like, oh, this is what the market's trying to identify, and then respect what it's telling you, and then make a move. If you can go short, if you have the capability of going short and the trend is down and the setups are down and the chart is telling you it's not going to be a good time, then you go with it. You go with the short. If you want to go long, at the very least, if all that information is telling you that the market's looking like it wants to go down, but you want to go long, just wait. Just save yourself. Maybe even if you don't get in now, maybe you can get in a little bit cheaper, right? If the trend was still continuing to the downside, you can get a cheaper price. So at the end of the day, just respect what the market's telling you. Thoughts on the futures? Yeah, I haven't actually talked about the futures yet. Let's go over the futures. Sorry, guys. I'm sure I'm missing a lot because I start talking and then I'm just looking at the camera and then I look at the chat and you guys are just like putting in so many great things. And then I look over and I'm like, oh, that's the most recent thing that you guys put down. Then I get caught talking about this and then I get delayed again, right? So let's go talk about the futures real quick as Facebook is looking at 227 and change. So futures. For anyone wondering, what do I trade? I trade the S&P 500 E-minis. And I don't want to say exclusively, but for the most part, I do trade this. Here and there, I might dabble in the NASDAQ E-minis, but I find that my strength is in the S&P. I can read it better. So why am I going to put more risk on something that I'm not as strong at, right? So I've kind of just absolutely concentrated on the stuff that I'm better at and I'm good at, and just completely remove myself from things that I'm not as good at. So complete capital concentration in certain things, futures, S&P futures being one of them. So this is what we're doing. And I came in this morning, and let me put up the 30-minute chart because I think you guys get a better understanding of the market you're dealing with. Actually, no, let's go up to 60. The chart itself doesn't matter. Like the time frame in this specific circumstance does not matter because I'm just trying to explain to you guys what the levels are. What I'm noticing for the S&P is we're obviously sideways, right? With the action that we got on the close on Friday with that little flush from 44, 45, 25-ish all the way down, that sets up the market to go sideways, right? We're going to obviously have resistance here once we get into this 25 area going up to 65. And then there looks like there's going to be some support south of 44.80. We're pretty much at it now. If we were to find some support here, I'm okay with the idea of going long, but it's not ready yet. Market wants to go down. Facebook is obviously taking off to the downside. Now it's broken 227, accelerating to the downside. NASDAQ is now down 0.7 after being positive. So you're getting downside momentum. So what I want to see is stability and strength south of 44.80, something that sets up something. What would it look like if it were to get a setup? Well, I would say that this is a 5-minute chart. I look for a slowdown in the selling. I want to see some buying come in. And after we get the buying come in, I want to see some more selling that can drive the market down. So it's not just selling drying up, but I want to see buying, and then I want to see selling unable to push this market lower after that. So a bunch of those conditions attached together gives me confidence that, you know what, this level is going to hold, this level is going to do well, and then I can go for the long. What happens if the level doesn't break? Do I have space? The very first thing I do when I look for a trade is if this level broke, where would I put the stop? If I wanted to take a short, where would I put the stop? Well, I would say it would have to be like 44.90 or so would be the stop that I would use. Okay. If I were to take the short at 44.65 and I put 44.90 as my stop, the risk is 25 points. Do I have 25 points in downside? If the answer is yes, I'll take the trade. If the answer is no, I'll just wait for this market to come back a little bit more, maybe into the 75s or so, and then work a short then, right? Once I know the short is ready to go, then it's a matter of figuring out what the price is. And once I figure out the price, then I know what the risks are, right? Or what the risk is. And I can just manage everything the way I want to manage in terms of risk, targets, all that stuff. Because I know that once we get into 44, 45, 44, 50, it's going to be a problem. We saw that on Friday. So there's clear targets at clear levels that I need to respect. So for now, it looks like it's finding buying. We'll leave it be. Futures are there. I'm keeping an eye on futures. In the event we get a setup, I'll let you guys know. I'm here for another almost 2 hours, guys. More than 2 hours, actually. So for now, we're just going to keep an eye on this. Facebook, yeah, absolutely right. Someone says Facebook is going to end. Oh, I thought you meant the trend is going to end at some point. Of course. But I don't know about the company itself. That remains to be seen. Like someone said, there might be some spinoffs coming soon. Who knows? But Baba earnings? I know nothing. You're going to have to talk to the guys about this once that comes out. Because right now, based on what I'm seeing on Baba, obviously, it's down like 7% today, but we've got some support. We've got some support here. It looks like it's going to be about 108-ish. So for now, we'll just leave it be. All right. Let's see. I'm going to go back. I know I missed so many people because I start talking and then I don't pay attention to the chat. Here we go. There we go. Bob earnings. Okay. New process, great episode. Thank you guys. We're at 986 on the likes. Awesome, guys. Running solo and still getting likes. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right. What else we got here? NASDAQ flushing. Check Square. Okay, great Vandewey. Great entry on Square, or great reasoning to look at Square there, because technically there's a lot to be done. All right, what do we got here? Let me get the daily. Where's the daily? Here we go. And look at this. Daily on Square. You got to work the hundreds. This is another situation with, just like Facebook and that 230, Square and that 100 is going to be a problem because it's so obvious. It is way too obvious. So if I can't figure out an entry like I did with Facebook where I can jump in ahead of time and if there's some program selling going on, and in this case, I do feel like the way that Facebook is moving from the high, from the opening range, it does look like someone's unloading something. We may find out soon. I may be wrong, but from what I've seen, typically on something like that, it's a straight up program sell, which is usually initiated by some unloading happening somewhere. So for now, we're going to just leave that alone. Facebook up 420, 418, and we'll just focus in on Square. We've been looking at Square at 100. You'll see I have alerts out. South of 100, I have an alert out, and north of 111, I have an alert out. So what I essentially wanted to do was just box this in. If we get above 111, I want to see if I can go for a long. If we get below 100, I'm going to look for a short. Obviously, that's an easy breakdown, but I want to be very careful because I want to try and avoid what Facebook is like in the event that we snap back above Facebook. Do I need to manage Facebook? No, I think we're okay with Facebook for now. If we broke 228, I think I should cash out some. So we'll put a trail stop in for a little bit. Not for all of it, but for a little bit, just north of 228. In the event that it snaps back, at least that way I can lock in about $3 or so, and we can walk away from this, at least making some money, because the remaining trail stop is actually a break even north of 231. Remember, when we broke 230, I wanted to see if we snap back, right? The fact that we didn't snap back allows me to kind of just manage this out, and we're just going to go to Neil. Neil's got something to say. Sure. Yeah.
No, later.
You can do it later. Yeah.
I can't do it after 1.
Did you have lunch already? Yeah, we'll do it now. No. We'll do it now. All right, back to me. Come back to you.
Yeah. Mic on and off so the battery doesn't die. Apologies there, guys. I wanted to talk about funware because you guys were asking about this one, so I wanted to just quickly go over this. I'm going to repeat myself here, but this morning we're trading off of these levels. This $3 level previously, I'm showing you the 15-minute chart so we can see a couple of weeks back. It was a short off that level. Once it broke, you did have the pre-market highs, but I was more concerned with this little previous level at 320 before you had that breakout. And now that we've tested that top a couple of times here, I'm looking for a 320 area stop, and then just to play the short back into the same channel. So you turn this 280 level, which was the breakout this morning, early morning in the pre-market, that turns into your next support down, 280 to 285 specifically, and then you give it to that 320. So there's still a chance it's on the break. But even if it takes out the high of the day, there could be lots of chop to 20, lots of chop to 335, and then it still has to break out above those levels before it gets going. And that's why I think the counter trend trade's working a little bit here. So over to like what it looks like on the daily, on the 1 minute chart, and you're seeing it break back a little VWAP, and I'm going to scalp it almost all out in front of 85. 85 breaks all out in front of 80, and then just playing it inside of this tight range. And then the other name we're starting to go, that market broke back down there a little bit, and people are asking about Alibaba. They report tomorrow, but not till after market. So I think there could be some risk off. The story this morning was the offering. This has been relatively calm, I want to say, sort of hanging out this 115 to 116 range. Shorted a couple times, but it finally broke that low at 114. And this is the channel that we're looking for, 110 to 114. It was 2 days down here, and you broke out big time from that bottom, but somewhere in the middle of that channel is where I'd expect to turn. At this point, it's still testing to even get into this range. We've gone down to 113.60, right back to 114. So it's in the middle of a breakdown. The market continues to flush. I think we enter this channel solidly. I'd be looking to get out of all of it in front of 110 to be sure. But Baba rolling over here, down 7%. There is some room for more. I would just expect 110 to have support before we get there. It doesn't feel like the market's that strong to the downside. So some of these names that have support can catch little bids there. And I know people are asking about a lot of like other names here. BKKT has rolled over a little bit. I was watching DWAC waiting for 100. That got to 96 and then turned over, but it's found a bid at $90. Looks like that 90 level turning into temp support for DWAC.
All right. For anyone wondering what was going on with the mic situation, is because I'm in charge of the mics, and I only picked up our control board for the first time today because this entire last week Prad was handling it, so I had to learn on the fly today. So if you're wondering, that's on me, guys. I hope you guys like the hot mic gossip. How much taller than Prad are you? Because people were wondering.
Yeah, I'm slouching quite a bit here. I don't know. Prad's just cruising when he's trading, I guess. He's just kind of riding dirty over here. I'll try to get into the frame here, but we're actually around the same height, Prad and I. So I think he just likes the low rider lifestyle. I don't know what it is.
He just likes to slouch down a little bit. He likes that lean.
Yeah.
All right, Mike. So Greg, I figured that we'd have you on because I know you like to have your meetings with your traders at like 1 p.m. And what is it that, like, for new traders, what do you notice that a lot of them kind of their very first issues are? Like, what did they go through? What do you notice, at least?
I was talking, so I'm doing some hiring right now. I think we got like 6 new guys starting this month, guys and gals. And what I told them was basically this. Like, if someone shows up to the gym on their first day, they're just very, very out of shape. They can't hit the bench press too much. They can't do too many laps. They can't really do any exercises. So if you're a new trader, you kind of just have to think of yourself as like a really, really out of shape person. Okay? So the big thing you need to do if you're new to this game, if you're trying to make money trading, is trade. Okay? Now, obviously, you're not going to come firing with real money, paying $5 to your discount broker per trade, trying to scalp Facebook. But the big thing is getting just trades under your belt. We preach this on this floor. I know chat's probably aware of that as well. But whether that's paper trading or simulation trading or whatever, that's the big thing. And, I think once you start simulation trading, you can kind of tease out those mistakes that you might be making and those psychological biases that you might have. And, at that point, everyone's a little bit different, but just got to get those reps in,
Okay, so getting your reps in. What happens, though? Like, I'm sure you see a lot of these traders, when they're getting their reps in, they get frustrated at some point because they're taking trades, none of it's working. What do you tell them? Like, okay, you're getting your reps in, it's not working. What do you like? Do you help them with their? Do you help them figure out what their strategy is supposed to be? Do you help them be like, you know what, you should write this down, or you should work on this, or you should work on that? What is it that you see the most in terms of patterns?
I think a lot of people are more concerned with being right and being good or intelligent than they are about making money. So to be completely honest about what usually happens on this floor, okay, I'll bring people in and I'll say, you know, guys on this floor, Sean, Neil, myself, yourself, Arun, we've been making money for a while, for many years. This is what we do. And then I'll lay it out and I'll be like, do this, do A, B, and C. They'll try it. It won't work on the first day. The first time they ever try it, it doesn't work. And then they'll just start doing whatever they want to do, and which is fine because, you know, you have to try new trading styles. You're not only going to copy other people. But the big thing when people start is they don't want to kind of do these prearranged trades. They don't want to do trades that are kind of set ahead of time, okay? There's this great chart that maybe I can bring up, but it shows Michael Jordan's thought pattern or shot pattern versus James Harden's shot pattern. Okay, I don't know how many NBA players there are, but if you look at Michael Jordan scores from everywhere on the court. Okay, you just look all over the court, he's getting baskets. Okay, James Harden has all his baskets are either layups or 3-pointers. And to be honest, as day traders, it's kind of more like that. You know, we're taking our day-to-day, our layups, our small trades that we can just make, you know, 50, 100 bucks here and there on. And then you have your 3-point shots, you know, your $2,000 trades, your $5,000 trades, whatever. And I think a lot of people, when they come to the trading floor, they want to trade, they want to be Michael Jordan, you know. They want to be in a trade that I might have said, okay, you know, when this happens, do this, when this happens, do this. And they're calling an audible, which is obviously mixing in an analogy from a different sport, but, you know, they're like, oh, they're Michael Jordan, so they're going behind the back, even though they had a free drive to the basket. So I think when you're starting to trade, learn some setups, okay? Learn 3 or 4 setups that are pre-planned trades. You know what to do ahead of time. You know what the plan is. And then at that point, you can start mixing it up, trying your own trades, and kind of getting creative.
Great way to look at it. Everybody wants to start off hot because they see other people doing well, and then they just start making adjustments. Well, I mean, as a trader, you should make adjustments regardless of wherever you get the strategy from, because you're not going to know someone else's strategy as well as they are.
Trading is weird. Like, I don't know what it is versus other activities, but I guess because the feedback is so immediate and so objective, as soon as people see that negative sign on their day's trading, they tend to give up and get really, really disheartened, you know. But yet at the same time, people will go on a beach vacation for 2 weeks and try to learn surfing, and they don't even get up for the first 5 days. So it's like something about trading, and I think it's because, as I said, the feedback is objective and immediate, makes people give up really, really quickly. Maybe not give up on trading as a whole, but give up on trading a certain setup. And that's kind of the frustration I've found time and time again with hiring new people, is that they kind of refuse to follow what we lay out and start trying to mix it up too early and give up a little bit too quickly, to be honest.
Fair. It's a flashy game. Everybody wants to be a part of it, right? Because everyone sees the flash, and the other thing too is everyone posts everything about how good they did. So obviously other people see it and they want a piece of that too. I got a question for you, and I don't know if Joanna and Nicole are in the chat, but I've noticed the pattern of mostly male traders, right? A lot of them, not just the hiring process. Why do you feel that a lot of women don't apply, or at least the ratio is so skewed towards males when it comes to this profession? I think you see it here, you see it on TV. A lot of it kind of is very more so geared, or at least heavily favored in terms of men. Why is it that women you don't see that?
Yeah, I honestly have no idea, to tell you the truth, Arun. Like, when I get applicants, it's 95% men. Like, I would say maybe 1 in 20 applicants is a woman. Would love to hire more young ladies or ladies on the floor, women on the floor, but it's kind of hard when the vast majority of the applicants are men. So, you know, I know there are some really, really successful female traders out there, and I'd love to hear from them and maybe hear a little bit about what barriers keep them back.
Yeah.
And, you know, on any trading floor, culture is very important, and it's important to have an inclusive culture and, you know, be open to different ideas, different styles. You know, there's a lot of different ways to trade, and, you know, it doesn't just have to be, you know, beating your chest and screaming after every big winner, although I like to do that sometimes. But, you know, I know there's the silent assassins such as yourself, Arun. But, you know, I think diversity of thought and opinion is definitely important on a trading floor. And, you know, any viewers who want to apply or, you know, work with us, would love to hear from them.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. We're in Toronto, for anyone wondering. We're from Toronto, Canada. Canadian content right here. Day Trade the World. So if anyone's local, and I'm sure you've got some.
Yeah, we get some local applicants sometimes, and we are hiring periodically. We actually recently had a bit of a tech overhaul, which is going to allow us to kind of expand the number of traders that we have. We've been on a skeleton staff for a while here, just because of bandwidth issues. And then, you know, as I know Sean and Neil talk about a fair bit, like at one time, this floor was just full of traders. Yep. And, you know, if you look back on YouTube when they first started, you know, it's just a room full of people. So, you know, hopefully one day get back there. And that's one of the things that really makes a trading floor exciting. And one of the great things about working here, also the collaboration, obviously. But yeah, culture really, really important in any business, and especially on a trading floor, because, you know, you're going to have those quiet times. You're going to have those bad days, and positive thinking is really, really important, I must say. And, you know, it's kind of one of those things that when I was a younger man, be like, oh, positive thinking, whatever, you know, it's all about the money, who cares? But process, really, really important in trading.
Why they always say trust in the process, right?
Yeah, trust the process. Philadelphia 76ers, right?
So it's just
you have
there
to, have to trust the process, because, you know, like the out of shape person coming to the gym, like your first day trading is going to be your worst day. You will only ever get better as a trader. Okay, so if anyone out there struggling right now, anyone out there losing money, from my experience training, and I think, you know, some more experienced guys would agree with me, you will only ever get better as a trader. Your first day is going to be your worst. Now, the problem is, and I think you agree with me, Arun, is that the market is getting harder. Okay? At least the equities market. So you have to improve more quickly than the equities market becomes more difficult. And, you know, that's not going to happen in a straight line, because, you know, they're going to be they're going to be relatively easier times to trade the stock market. Okay, you look at 2019, most brutal year I've ever been a part of. Okay, very, very tough to make money day trading. 2020, a year later, bonanza. Everyone killed it. Everyone had their best year ever. You know, people probably retiring, not myself, but crazy. So, you know, there are exceptions to that, but you need to improve more quickly than the market gets harder. Okay? That being said, these skills are transferable. So if you can become very, very good at trading crypto, okay, or very, very good at trading equities, and then you move over to crypto, and crypto is, let's say, a newer market and a little bit easier, these skills are transferable. But within a market, I believe trading only gets harder, largely because of automation and computers.
Yeah, the game is always going to be harder, and as traders, we always have to adapt, right? I'm sure back when, I can remember back in 08, 09, it was, I won't say it was a wild, wild west, but I mean, like, it was not that hard to make money back then, because the rules were different. If you wanted to get stocks to do certain things, you can definitely get them to do it, right? All you needed was some volume, and the market would respond. And now the game is different. The rules are different. So there's a lot more restrictions in play, which kind of helps and protects traders for the most part, but also makes it much tougher for not just chart reading, but you're also now dealing with more algorithms and more just systematic trading, right? It's just more, you bring more people to the party, it's going to be tougher to get around.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And, you know, I don't want to get too technical or anything, but I think dark pools are probably the best example of that, or one of the best examples of that. More and more volume is happening on dark pools, which is basically a system which exists beside the exchange and allows large institutions to clear orders on their own books, right? So whereas in the past, that was a source of volume and a source of liquidity that day traders could get, now increasingly, the amount of volume that happens on the lit market, which is where day traders usually live, is far, far lower. So that has become a challenge. And, you know, ultimately, a lot of these changes are designed to help investors and designed to help the market function more smoothly, reduce volatility. So it's not all bad, but you know, we will continue to face these changes as traders, and some of them are going to make our lives harder. But I do believe that you can get better faster than the market gets harder, and otherwise I wouldn't be here. And you know, there's a lot of people who say like, oh, you can't make money trading, like the market's efficient. Then like, why are we here? You know, why have I been able to trade for 8 years? Why have you been able to trade for, what do you want now, 15 or something, 20?
Next month it'll be 16.
Yeah. So honestly, like in this business, like a lot of the time, like you're going to have friends and family telling you like, why are you wasting your time? You know, you haven't made any money. And when you do make money, it's $15 in a day. Like, why are you wasting your time trading? Every single person on this floor, and probably in the chat as well, has had people tell them that it's not possible to make money trading. And yet here we are, you know, year after year after year, we make money. And, you know, there's more up years and down years, and the up years can be very good. So, you know, you got to believe, you got to have that positive attitude, and don't let that immediate feedback when you first come into trading dissuade you from continuing. Because honestly, like, although this business is getting harder, it's one of the best businesses to be in, and like trading's not going anywhere. It's only getting bigger.
Yeah. Market participants are always going to be there. Obviously, programs are there as well, but I think traders are always going to be there to provide more efficiency or make the market more efficient, regardless of programs being involved. So liquidity process too, right? You need traders, not just programs, to provide liquidity. And I think the rebate structure that's behind these different venues is going to definitely allow that to happen. So it's just one of those things that traders will always be there. Programs will always be there. They'll get smarter. Traders will get smarter. And it's just a matter of who gets better and who makes more money. It's just going to be a back and forth, really. It's going to be an evolving process, and it's going to be a game to be played. And Greg, thank you so much for coming through.
My pleasure,
is there anything
man.
else? The chat loves hearing your thought process on, especially with the new traders.
Yeah,
too.
you know, I know people are focused on trading here, so I know you want to get back to trading. So, you know, thanks for having me on. Good luck, and I'm really optimistic for this year and for this month, and things are going to be crazy. So good luck, everyone out there making money.
There you guys go. Greg, the floor manager here at the Toronto office of J Trade the World. If you guys like what he had to say, hit the likes. We're at 1.2. I think at 1.1K. I know we can definitely get a lot more going on that as we. Let me just do that. There we go. And we'll go back to my screen here. We'll just do a quick update. I know as we were talking, you guys were asking about NVCT, DWAC. I saw the charts. I saw NVCT going absolutely nuts to the upside. It was trading at, what, like 750 or something when I stopped looking at it. Quite the run. If you wanted to know what a straight up, I want to say this kind of movement is just, wow, this is unstoppable, it looks like, until we hit about not even then, it was about 750, and then we started to slow down a little bit, and now we've kind of taken a breath on NVCT to the upside. As we were talking, though, the first thing I did was look at the chart. I was like, oh, see, I don't pay attention to all names. I just see what's moving. So when I see NVCT, I'm like, oh, it's day number 2 of trading for NVCT. So I have no information to work with on the daily. So it's going to have to be completely intraday based. So if that's the case, the first entry had to be north of 550. That's obviously not happened. So we're going to have to let that be. And we're going to have to wait for this to set up again, because this is going to be entirely intraday based. No help from anything else. We're going to have to leave it be and let it set up some levels. In the meantime, we're waiting. PTON does not want to help me. Why, PTON? PTON does not want to help me. I'm looking at the chat for you guys. I know you guys are talking about NVCT, obviously one of them. And what else we got here? PTON, I was just quickly looking. PTON, what are you doing? Like, my stop is at 28, by the way. So if we don't get the support, if we don't get above 29.50 soon, I don't think I have any hope that this is going to turn around. So we may end up taking a hit on PTON. ZBH I cashed out of just north of 15, I probably put in the high too. What was that? 1505. I don't even know what the average price on that exit was. But anyways, we got out north of 15. Now it's south of 114. We walked away with $2 on the move down. I'm okay with NV. Given ZBH and its history, or at least today's history of the way it's been moving, walking away now, it doesn't bother me too much. CFVI, I'm still waiting to figure out whether I want to fade this or not. You guys brought this to my attention earlier, so we're going to wait a little bit on CFVI. And then not PTON, NVCT, we're going to keep an eye on this. What else we got? Roku's not helping. Uber is coming back in, but Uber is already in trail mode for me. So we've already cashed out on Uber on the way up towards 38.50. Now if we break, where is my stop? It's soon. I know it's soon. Uber. Okay, so if we go another 15 cents or so, I'll be out of Uber to the downside. I essentially would have just walked away from that long. I've cashed out what I needed to. Trails in place. And let's take a quick look at DWAC as well. I know the chat wanted to look at DWAC. DWAC's up 10% or 9% on the day. Let's see. Quickly take a look at the daily. What do we got going on? Ooh, see, this is nice, actually. This is very nice. The high is what? 91.50, and we're trading 91.62. What is the 15? This could be a nice little breakout with a stop. So now DWAC's got my attention with a stop of 84, it looks like. Let me clear that up here. So what I like to do is I like to mark off the level on the daily, and then I'll go into a smaller chart and then break it down even further, because I don't want to get caught in an accidental exit, right? Like, it's so easy to say, oh, on the daily the level is 84, and then I look at the 15-minute chart. It's like, no, there's a lot of action below 84 that I need to respect. So the stop on this actually has to be down here, like 81.50-ish, right? So we're going to move the stop down to here and then see if we can actually get some stability north of 91, at which point we're going to have to figure out a way to get into this without the risk being too crazy. So DWAC is above a level that I can work with. We just got to get the setup, and there you go. So that being done, what do we get for Greg? We got another 100 likes for Greg there. We're at 1.2K on likes. We're still going. We still got another couple hours to go. Let me see what else you guys are talking about. SoFi calls. Well, you guys are trading options. Day Trader World, we don't trade options here. So I'll just quickly take a look at the daily chart of SoFi. What is SoFi looking like? How long have I been trading while I'm pulling up SoFi? 16 years. Next month, 16 years next month, March of 2006 is when I started, and here we are in 22. So here's the thing too, right? A lot of traders, you get caught up in the market that you're dealing with, the current market conditions, but market conditions evolve. There's cycles, it's seasonal, and when you get into a very high volatile market, case in point, March and April of 2021. March and April of 2021 was extremely volatile for last year. And then I can't even remember 2020. But you deal with the different conditions and you got to adapt to each one. If the market's easy for you right now, it's because the market conditions are easy. If your strategy is working at a very high efficiency rate, it's because the market's corresponding with your strategy. If you're trying to range trade and the market's ranging, it's going to work out. But if the market's trending and you're trying to range trade, you're going to get blown out. So you have to make adjustments. And then the flip side as well. If your strategy is a trend strategy and the market's ranging, and then all of a sudden your accuracy on that trading strategy isn't high, is because the market's not corresponding. And some markets are easier to trade than others, and that's always changing, right? As a trader, you constantly have to learn, you constantly have to adapt. And that's just the game. If you want to take this seriously as a career, then you have to put in the work as it's a career, right? It's not just the 6.5 hours that you're trading. It's all the off-market time when the market's closed that you're putting in work, going through your strategies. I know at the beginning, even though we're trading for 6.5 hours, my days were like, I want to say close to like 10-hour days because of the time I was putting in before market, after market, and then I also put in time on the weekends too, right? Yeah, so I put in a lot of time trying to figure stuff out. And then now I for the most part anyways, I just trade. I'll spend half an hour before the market starts so I can actually figure out what I want to trade. And then on Sunday nights, I'll spend an hour and a half doing a review of the week so I can get prepared for the following week. But that's just me now, 15 and 16 years later. at the beginning, you're putting a lot more screen time. You need that screen time. I remember actually, I used to record my screen. Like, there's software out there that allows you to record your screen so that I can actually pinpoint the exact time where I made a decision and whether that was the right thing to do or not at that time. Obviously, it was a lot to go through, but at the beginning, you kind of do it. So if you want to get better, you got to put in the work. That's why these, going back to Greg's basketball analogy, that's why these guys do all these practice. They take time just shooting around, whether it's working on their free throws or whatever, but they are just shooting around on the court when they're not playing. There's a lot of time that's put into not just game film, but also just absolute practice working on your mechanics. And as a trader, you're an athlete, you got to do the same thing, right? Going back to SoFi here. SoFi, yeah, it's wedged in here. Like, if we got close to 14, maybe a fade. If we were to go to the downside, south of 11, maybe a shot there, but I'm not really rushing. This type of chart isn't I don't favor this type of chart. Remember, you guys have the market has thousands and thousands of names that you can choose from. Don't get caught up in a single name or a name that you want to attach yourself to. So it's just one of those things where you just got to be smart that you don't have to trade one name over and over again, right? If you're very efficient at it, like I am with the futures, then I'm okay doing that. But there's so much to choose from. What you want to do is take your strategy, your approach, and apply it to every other name that you can possibly find and see if it fits. And if whenever those names line up with what your strategy is supposed to be, then you go for it. So that's kind of my approach anyways, my suggestion. Yeah. Thomas Left, just stop, dude. It's not going anywhere. I'm not going to look at it. So you can keep doing that, but I'm not going to look at this. I'm going to ignore that. Unity. Okay. Unity. Here we go. Unity on the daily chart. Here we go. Unity has been in the news. I think on Friday, Pride gave you a nice little explanation with gaming. I know nothing about gaming, so I can't get into that. I'm going to leave that alone. So, but I will talk about the technicals of Unity. 120, I think, has to be the level. Look at 120. It's so important going back to, August? You got the support base back on, it's starting of the support base on the late August, October 26th. You got a nice little bounce on the 10th, October. So early October, and then you got a little hesitation here on the way down in early January, and now we're finally underneath. We're working our way back up. Unity, 120 has to be the level. I think I'd look for some fades here. So anything north of 110 that sets up, that'd be a nice little trade. And if we can't get a setup, we leave it alone, right? If we broke 90, that's a different story. That'll be opening up the next set of levels. But for now, I think we're going to wedge this in or box this in, as I like to say a lot. 120 on the upside. 90 on the bottom. Anything north of 110, look for a fade. If we break 90 on the downside, we just run that one down and see if we can't grab the short. As I say this, talk about a short that's really moving here. Facebook now accelerating. Now we're close to $5 in the money on Facebook on this move to the downside. What do we got here? Ooh, Facebook taking 226. There we go. Facebook at 226 and change. Hey, we put in a outside target. That was like based on the weekly chart. I'm like, you know what? 215 sounds like a good idea. I'm managing this. I have no reason to kind of not expect or put an expectation down that, hey, 215 is likely or it's possible. Not likely, possible at this rate. But as I'm setting the potential target of 215 on Facebook and the accuracy of that target, I have no clue. I'm going to figure it out as it gets closer to it. I might take some out in front of it. If we get to 220, we start to hesitate, whatever. But I'm just saying that, hey, at least now we know that we're not going to step into this. We're not going to accelerate the movement of the stop until we get closer and closer to that. So, but I do notice that 228 could be pretty good. I might just move the stop a little bit north of 228.50. At least that way we're locking about $2.50 or so as Facebook accelerates to the upside. What is a realistic percent gain on your account in 1 year? Realistic depends on where you are. If you're a brand new trader, I want to say it might be negative. You might even lose your account. I've lost my account a few times. I've had massive negative losers at the beginning. Over the years, I want to say I had. So my track record with trading is, I want to say, at the beginning. So we have like this little this condition of you're a trainee when you get hired. If you make X amount of dollars within a month, so it shows efficiency and your ability to trade well, then you kind of graduate, you get more risk. And that was like, it's still the process now, but that was, when I did it, it was like, 15 years ago. So I want to say it took me about 6 or 7 months to get to that point where I graduated or I got more risk so I can take somewhat larger shots and whatnot. And then after I graduated and I got that extra risk, I was inconsistent for a while. So it'd be just enough to keep me enticed, like, I can make money trading, but it wasn't enough to do a lot with. So you keep playing the game. I was inconsistent all over the place. I want to say I spent about 5 years all over the various stock markets around the world, trading Japanese markets, Tokyo, trading European markets, coming in at 3 a.m. here, trading European markets and whatnot. And then obviously North American markets. I did one time, I trade, it was stupid, but I did European market at 2:30 in the morning, right into the North American market. So when European went to lunch, which is around 6 a.m., I think, went to lunch, I took a little nap, woke up to trade the North American markets, traded the entire day, and then I dabbled in the Australian market, which was like early, like not too far after our North American markets closed, like an hour and change. And then I took a break and did that for a week, and then I'm like, I'm burning out. No, I can't do that. So I've kind of gone through it and tried various things for 5 years or so, and then I figured the futures are the way to go. Inconsistent with the futures for about another 5 years, and then got the hang of it after blowing through quite a few accounts and losing a ton of money that I was able to come back from. But anyways, it's a long road. Am I a part of Gamblers Anon? No, I think I got through that process on my own. I kind of figured out, I'm not gambling. In my head, I was like, I'm trading. I'm finding a strategy. It was a puzzle for me. It was a puzzle that I needed to figure out. And I'm that type of person where if it bugs me that I can't figure it out, I'll spend a lot of time trying to find an answer for it, regardless of what the puzzle is. To me, I see it as a market. Every day I sit down and be like, okay, what's the puzzle today? What's the thing I'm dealing with today? What has the market done? And what is the market trying to tell me? And to me, that's the game. It's not all the other stuff comes with it. It's the game of trying to figure out what this market is trying to tell me. And I think that's why, for me, I enjoy this so much, because I don't see it as, I got to make money. I see it as, this is the game that I like games. And what is the market trying to tell me? And can I figure it out? And obviously, I'm not going to figure it out every single day. I'll get it wrong. I'll make the wrong read on some days. Like today, clearly PTON not helping my case. But I know over the course of 5 days or a full week, I'll figure it out. And when I figure it out, meaning at the end of the week, I'll be positive. So I'm good. So in that situation, have I been close to quitting? Yes, many times. Many times. It's not easy, right? The road is always hard. But actually, to be fair, I want to say I even took a little hiatus for a little bit too. And then I just couldn't, again, it's the puzzle aspect of it. It just bugs me. It just really bugged me that I couldn't figure out how to read what the market was telling me. So, and then that's what brought me back, right? So it's just one of those things where, have I been close to quitting? Yes. Have I even done it? I took a hiatus, yes. And then I came back, be like, I'm going to find a way to figure out what this market wants to tell me so I can figure out what I'm going to do with the reads. And then I kind of just worked on it, and I did. They got you on the show, and now they have you doing it solo. Nevertheless, no complaints from you. Great knowledge. Get yourself a coffee. Appreciate that. Thank you so much, LMK. It's just, enjoy me while you guys got me. I'm here for another week. I'm sure Pratt will be back maybe tomorrow, maybe not. But at some point this week, midweek even, he'll be back, and we'll, finish out the show. And then you guys get back to normal. Valeria's back, and then Platinum Prad may be back. with his platinum hair. He'll be back. I just don't know if he's going to be back with platinum hair. It was supposed to be, Feb 14th, Valentine's Day. That schedule may change, but he's going to get it done. I will make sure he is going to be platinum Prad at some point. The schedule may be changing a little bit based on whatever that needs to be done. All right. Why do you prefer the futures? Guys, I'm going to be talking obviously about non-trades right now, but if you randomly have, if you see setups, and here's the first thing I want to do, and since this is kind of like we're trying to figure out what to trade, the very first thing before you guys put the stock in the chat, take a look at the daily. And you guys know how I like to trade dailies, right? I like to see multiple days of action in a certain zone. So in, what was the daily that I worked with earlier? Roku, right? So as an example, what I'm working with on Roku is possible short south of 140 and a nice little long because of a breakout on a consolidation of multiple days around this 160 area, right? I thought I had enough, so I went for the long. If the setup is like that, put it in the chat. If it's not, I don't know what I'm going to do with that kind of a read, right? So I'm just going to kind of set it aside anyways, because if it's moving, it's not moving. I know CFVI is definitely something we were looking at earlier because it was moving inside that daily that it's potentially hesitating against, but it does look like there's some buy strength left. So respect the buy strength for the time being and leave it alone. If you guys see that, put it in, and I will definitely step in. All right. And somebody was asking, why do I prefer futures? It's just, I just can read it well. My setup right here, for now, it's with Valeria's desk is 2 screens. But my trading desk over there, my temporary trading desk just over there, has 4 screens. And 3 of the 4 screens all have only future stuff on it. And that's because I break the futures down into different things, like the long term, the purely volume analytical side of things, and then the 5-minute chart or something on a smaller time frame so I can actually analyze it. And then I have them maximized on the chart. So I spend 3 screens on one instrument. And that works for me. I'm very good at figuring out, I'm more efficient that way, right? When it comes to stocks, the game is a little different because each stock moves slightly differently. So I just prefer the futures because, one, the leverage aspect of it allows me to multiply immediately. I have a market for it. I can take whatever I want because the market on the futures can handle that volume. Right? There's about 40 to 50 contracts per level, and that's because it's somewhat volatile. Right? It typically we're in triple digits in terms of volume, right? And one contract has an equivalent value of like $230,000. So it's there's enough space there and capital allocation that I can take whatever I need to, and I just am efficient. I like to be as efficient as possible, and I'm very efficient with the futures. Stocks, not as efficient because I'm starting to see multiple reads in multiple places, and then I want to not just grab all of them, but then the accuracy slips a little bit when I start taking more than just one because I'm not paying attention to the tape as much. I'm not paying attention to the volume flowing through the charts themselves or like through the tape, but also the when we break through levels, right? Like I didn't see Facebook when it took 230. I saw the low being 229.50 at the time, but I didn't see how much volume went through. That's stuff I like to pay attention to, especially on the futures. So I've broken it down to such a point where that's how I prefer to trade. So that's kind of my game with futures. I know everyone has their own preferences. For anyone who's not scared, because I notice this a lot too, right? When I'm trading or when I was trading the futures, a lot of traders here, especially if they're newer, they don't have the leverage because one tick is like $50. If the thing moves one tick, all of a sudden you take one contract, you immediately are out $50. But if you want to learn about futures, guys, there's what they have as the micro contracts now. They trade exactly as the S&P 500 contract does, except the leverage is a tenth of the value. So one tick is only $5. So if you want to get into that, and if you can trade the spiders, they track exactly with each other. But if you just want to learn to trade the futures and do the analysis directly on the derivative itself, then you have access to the micro contracts from CME, MES, and MNQ for the NASDAQ, so which allows you to just trade trade within the futures without putting up so much of the capital that you need to be able to trade it. So if you have access to CME, take a look at the micro contracts if you really wanted to get into trading the futures, and that way at least you're starting to learn how futures moves. It moves a little bit differently than the stocks. The flow is different. You start to identify certain tendencies. Same way just talk about identifying tendencies. That's exactly what I was talking about when it comes to Facebook, right? Right? The identifying tendencies, because I've seen this so many times before. When it comes to flow. Like flow of movement, the type of movement you're getting on Facebook was the initial trade was supposed to be 236 long, 230 exit. And then once I started to see the flow, I'm like, something ain't right. That 230 might not hold. Get out, flip around, go for the short. And that's what you see here is because you identify certain things in flow. And this just happened because I was really paying attention to Facebook because I was like, man, this thing's accelerating. That's the only reason I saw this, right? But if I'm staring at one thing all day, like the futures, I'm going to catch it, obviously, right? Here we go. A lot of questions here. PDT rule does not apply in futures. Yeah, it doesn't, right? So if you have, but the thing is though, it doesn't apply because the leverage required to trade one contract is so high. So I think PD2 has 25,000. If you're north of 25,000, you can make more than 3 trades every 5 days or something like that. I could be wrong, but the leverage for one contract is like, or the margin for one contract is like 20 something thousand. I think NASDAQ is like 29,000 for one contract on margin. So that's kind of the reason why I think that they don't put the rules in place just because it's leveraged 50 times, right? S&P is leveraged 50 times, NASDAQ leveraged 20 times. So huge leverage there when it comes to, so be very, very careful when you are trading one contract of any futures account because they're heavily leveraged. Know the market that you're trading in. Because it's easy to jump in and be like, oh, why did I lose half my account in one trade? Because it's leveraged. So always, always, always know the account, know the market that you're trading in, know the rules of the game you're playing, and like especially with futures, they expire every 3 months. So you need to know when the rollovers are, when the expiration dates are, because the last thing you want to do is do a cash settlement or even delivery of a commodity. That's not going to be a fun time, nor is it going to be cheap. So be very, very careful. Just know the rules. Just go to CME Group and figure out what just learn about all the different rules that you would need to understand to figure out how to trade this. All right, what do we got? NVCT, is this still going? Oh, NVCT, is this, why did I get that wrong? Yeah, we'll go to Neil for NVCT. Oh, it's at 8:55. What? We were looking at a 7 even. Oh, here we go, Neil.
Yeah, this one's been crazy, man. Like it looked like NVCT, that is. It looked like it rolled over big time when it got to $8. I was in it. I thought I was headed down to VWAP, easy peasy trade, and next thing I know, I'm reloading in front of 750 and running away. It's actually consistently resisting halts to the upside, by the way. It did this on the way to $8, and it just did it now, like a couple of minutes ago. It looked like it was about to go into a halt. It breaks down a few pennies so that it doesn't trigger the halt, has a quick consolidation, then runs again. And I saw that happen twice on the way up. It's almost as if like someone's selling right in front of each of these halt points, just enough so it doesn't go into a halt and then machine guns up. What that might be doing is actually trapping more people to the short side of the trade, which is allowing it to be so consistent as it runs higher. So recent IPO here, guys, I'm looking at, I don't know, hopefully it'll halt again. I think that could be interesting. $10 could be pretty good. When it got close to 8 and showed signs of turning, like here, like it's actually doing the same thing at 9. That was a pretty good trade, but I'd almost be waiting around for $10 and then hopefully a halt comes in. But that pattern's an odd one. Like someone would actually actively have to be selling, significant amounts of shares, taking profit every time it goes to that halt, man, because that's a pretty dangerous price area to be initiating a short. So it's obviously, to me, it's somebody that's probably covering longs just enough to keep the up move going. It's weird, counterintuitive, that somebody who could be long is selling it so that it grinds higher, but it feels like that's what's been going on. And of course, Facebook, just now, everyone's talking about it, so fine. I was long in front of 225. It put this heavy volume wick bottom in, which, yeah, that's right. If it was a short, I'd do it. If it's a long, I'll do it as well. I get stopped out on a wick bottom, I'm gonna jump right back in front of it, because if this turns out to hold as a low, I see all the reason why it's headed to VWAP. And I'll do one more for you, because somebody said, I saw people asking about PayPal in the chat. Like, where could the bottom possibly be in PayPal? Well, if you remember when it got beat up on the earnings, the initial consolidation was down here, this good 129 level. It bounced a few times. We got some good longs there. And then it broke downside. 129, 130 was resistance for a couple of days. And today tries to get off the top and couldn't break past that 130. So I know everyone always looks for what is the support level to come down to. To me, it needs to at least break back up into this range, which is the 130 to 134, if not break out of it. And that might be more constructive than finding a support level, which, I mean, you can go super far back on the daily to try to find a little bit of something. But to me, allow it to make a bottom, break back above that 130 to 134 range, and then your support becomes the recent low. So if that's today, that's your 123. You got a 130 to 134 area above it, and then that works risk to reward. But sometimes you want it breaking back out instead of guessing where the bottom's going to be.
All right, back to me, and let me grab that. There we go. All right, yeah, NVCT absolutely on fire. We were looking at this and we kind of just took a break. Look at that, gone. 875 going to 9 even. All right, so I'm not a very good scalper. That's not my strength, so I try to stay away from these stocks that are absolutely going nuts. If I don't have it, I really won't chase it, but I can technically set something up, right? I see 650. Clearly, this 750 is going to do something. It's going to activate some support. So why not work with this 750 in the event that we came back down? So we're going to leave it alone. See if it wants to come back down. If it doesn't want to go, down and wants to continue up, at some point, this buying is going to have to run out. At that point, I'll figure out a way to short this. But for the time being, I need a move down in NVCT for me to figure out the long position here. But we're going to leave it be. I mean, it is absolutely running towards 9 even and change. We started this day at 3. Really? Oh, wow. That's quite the move here. And this is pretty much the second time it's done this like kind of rotational bounce, right? So around 550, bounces down to 450, takes off, and then does another little break, takes off. At some point, we're going to have to run out of steam. I'll wait for this. We'll just pay attention to it. We'll wait for this, figure out what we can do with this. And somebody mentioned the weighting system on with Meta doing what it's doing. I think it was Devin here. NVIDIA now number 7. Yeah, huge, because this is a pretty big deal. So this is how the NASDAQ is weighted based on each stock obviously has a different weight. And that means the movement in one name can move the futures a little bit more than other names can, right? So Apple, Microsoft have always been the one-two punch up top, right? So 12% on Apple, Microsoft at 10, Amazon at number 3 at 7%, and then it really falls off here. We got Tesla at 4, then you have the different Google classes at 4 and 3.8. So together, Google has about 7.8. So in reality, Google should be at number 3 in front of Amazon with the 7.8 weighting, and then NVIDIA at 3.79 and Meta at 3.72, and then it just falls off to 1.76 and change. So NVIDIA has moved in front of Meta for the time being with the weight in the NASDAQ 100. So huge movement there within the indexes themselves. So keep an eye on this as we go towards the March quarter. If Facebook can't make some sort of miraculous recovery, there's going to be some adjustments within the portfolios as we go into the March adjustment, which would be third Friday of March, which would be the rebalance day. So keep an eye on that because there will be some portfolio adjustments happening when we get around to that point. So huge changes within the indexes themselves. So it's just one of those things that we got to keep an eye on. Third Friday in March, that's the rebalance day. There's going to be some changes. Let's definitely keep an eye on that. Arun, when do we buy Tesla? I don't know. That's a very good question. When do you buy Tesla? I mean, we looked at Tesla earlier. 1,000 was that break point, right? I can't put any like, I can only read what the charts are telling me. Like I said, I just want to see what the market's telling me, and then I'll respond accordingly. But for the time being, if we were to go to, this is the daily, let's take a quick look at the weekly, see if that has any value. So if we technically look at where Tesla is on the weekly, right? Obviously, there's resistance north of 1,100 into 1,150. Obviously, the high is around close to 1,250. But if you go back to where we are right now, around 900, we stalled here back in early 2021. So if we can't maintain this 850 area, this market has a lot of space down towards 600 on Tesla. And that's not a buy read, or that's not me saying anything, because I really don't know. I also don't trade Tesla, nor do I have it in any personal accounts of mine. I'm very heavy on the futures. So when I mean futures, I'm talking me trading intraday, and also any portfolio that I'm holding on to is more geared towards futures contracts versus individual names, right? But you got to say this 850 is going to be critical, given how much hesitation we had on the week of the 24th. If we can maintain 850, if we can't stay above 850, you got to look at the next support point, which is going to be around 650 to 600. So definitely a problem for Tesla, depending on how it trades here. Now, it could easily bounce, but let's just say if it bounces, what does that mean? You got to then wait for this resistance level, which is 1,000. We've been stalling in front of 1,000 pretty much all week last week. From 950 up to 1,000, doesn't look like it doesn't want to go up there. So here we are waiting for either 850 to hold or 1,000 to break, and we're wedged in here in the middle. So Tesla's in a holding pattern until it breaks out of either of those ranges. You really don't have enough information to work with. So for me, Tesla is like, it's like one of those things where you just take a trade. If you have the position, if you're priced right, you wait it out. If you're not priced right, I would just kind of cash out if you're in the money a little bit, and then walk away if you don't like the price you're holding, and until you get a move. Now, that also means you could possibly end up taking a hit on this while you're waiting, but I think the smarter decision is to wait for either one of these ranges to go, and then you have your information. I always like to work with information. If the market wants to tell me something, if the market's telling me there's no strength to get above 950, I want to respect that. If the market's in Facebook's case or Meta's case, Meta is gone. 225 is gone now. Now we're at 224, and we're $6 in the money on this Facebook short. And the trend has been, if you're short, the trend has been your friend. That is your trend. And it started, looks like once we broke 237 right off the open, it's just been a straight sell. And like I mentioned to you guys off the top there, it did look like there's some program selling through 235 going all the way down. So that's the only reason I'm short. It was just an audible, as Greg liked to say. It was an audible that I had to make on the fly in the middle of my long trade that wasn't working out. I was like, something ain't right. Let's flip directions, because volume is a little too heavy in this case. I've also moved the trail stop on on Facebook as we're kind of moving up. As we're moving up, I want to protect. For now, we're moving down. But as a trader, it is not hard to manage a position that's in the money. Obviously, it's a lot easier, right? Your job as a trader is to let these trades go, but you have to be okay with the idea that, hey, this might come back. My trail stop on this is 228 at this point, but it may come back $3, and I may only walk away with, $2.50 or so, or $3, just actually under $3 on my own. Just kind of just doing it the way I'm doing it. I may give up that, but I'm taking that chance because I feel like it has the space, right? That's why I look at the daily. Does it have the space to move? If I were to take a trade on the short side, does it have space to move? And the answer to Facebook was south of 230, we had a ton of space to move. So if I know we have space to move, I don't need to set any targets. I can let it go and see if we can't just get a run all the way down. So for the time being, here we are slowly trailing this. 228 is a stop. We're almost 50 in the money on this, and I don't see myself making or even setting any targets. We did look at the weekly. Maybe that 215 is going to be a problem. I might be off by a few bucks there. So we'll keep an eye on the volume as we get closer and closer to 220, maybe 220 to 215. I don't know. At this point, it's a guessing game because I have nothing to work with, right? So all I can really do is just manage. It's easy to manage a winning trade because you see it. You just let it go. Even a trade that's not winning, like in my Roku trade, there's nothing to do with Roku. It's out of the money, $3.40, yes, but based on what I did on the daily and based on the way the market was setting up, is there anything for me to do on Roku? No, it's out of the money, but there's nothing for me to do. I just got to wait it out. Same thing with Facebook. It just happens to be in the money. So I am waiting it out. Is NVCT going again? Guys, what is going on? NVCT now at 8, cracked 9. All right, so I'm going to move NVCT down here because I am not going to do anything with NVCT unless we get down to 750. At the If we get down to 750, then I can be, I can figure something out. But the way it moved straight from 675 all the way north of 9 even. There's nothing for me to do with this. If I was in the money, it'd be like if I was already long, this is just a matter of managing, right? But if I'm not in the long, I got to find a way to get in. And what makes sense? You got to make logical entries, right? So if we get south of 8, I might be able to get a logical entry that makes sense. Risk reward ratios are good. South of 8 into 750, that might make sense. My Facebook trade is a good trade. Why, thank you. I'm trying my best to manage it, but I think what makes it's not just the trade itself. I always look at the reason for the trade, right? If you get lucky, you get lucky. I mean, that doesn't, you haven't learned anything at that point. But the logic behind this trade is what matters. And like I mentioned to you guys, the logic behind this trade was based entirely on experience. Unfortunately, I can't do a technical breakdown because the technical was actually a long, as you can see for me on the long. But the logic makes sense. And it was the sell side volume with, it looked like unloading of some positions on Facebook shares that made me go for the short. So at this point, now that we were south of 230, you just got to let it go. If you're in, right? So you just got to manage it out and see what you can't, see if you can't capture as much as possible. I think maybe it looks like if I pull, do I put NVCT there? Yeah. So if I move Facebook right here, let's go through the trail process, because I think a lot of the times a lot of people focus on the entries, like, oh, where do you go long? Where do you go long? But it doesn't matter. If you get the long and then you can't find a way to capture the profit when it starts moving, as a lot of people have kind of learned that lesson with the whole GME and AMC saga, you need to capture profits. You need to have a way to capture profit at some point. If you get in and the trade starts moving in your favor, how are you going to capture profit? You need to have an idea and a plan in place so that you're not just letting it go forever and hoping that it, triples, quadruples, whatever, right? So you do need to have a plan in place. I'm looking at the 15, I'm looking at the 5. Where did the market hesitate last time? It's in a trend to the downside, yes. Where did it really hesitate to the downside or the upside when it did go? It looks like right here. It looks like it's going to be that 220, 228 area. So my stop is going to stay there. I'm not going to mess around. It does look like it's really stalling out with this 225. I think if we get some more buying, what I might do is I might take some out here in front of 225. I just want to see how much buying is left here, though. If there's no buying, then I'm obviously not going to get out. But if there's a decent amount of buying around 225, I might get some out here, and I'll let the rest get trailed out around 228. Obviously, we're looking for 215 as a potential, but I do have to respect the market wanting to do some buying. So we'll keep an eye on Facebook and how it's moving around this 225. It might be time to cash some out, but the trail point is going to be left as is. All right, what do we got left here? How would I play Disney? Okay, let's take a quick at Disney. Let me just move Facebook chart. Okay, so I can bring up Disney here. So we'll go Disney. Disney with the daily. I was actually looking at Disney earlier, and then I put up a trail point. Or an alert right here. You see it. It's this red line here. It's 145. I wanted to be notified if Disney ever got north of 145, because what I could do is actually a potential fade against 148, which is the gap from the 20th. Or I can go for the breakout north of 148. So the preferable read for me is a break above this high of February the 1st. Which would be 144.69 if we got above it. And then I want to see what the volume looks like. And if the volume was extremely one-sided, meaning it was just mostly stops, if we just, buy, get above 145, hit some stops, and then come back underneath, I think that's one of those things where I'd want to kind of fade this right into 148. So that's what I'm looking at for Disney. On the downside, it's pretty obvious. It's going to have to be this 136... not 136, but 138 to 137. I always am going to choose a lower of the two levels because I'd rather, for more flexibility, than to pick a precise point and get accidentally entered into a trade. So 137 on the downside, 145 is going to alert me to a potential short in front of 148. So we've got a couple trades here lined up on Disney. It's not doing a whole lot to work with. Anything in the middle I'm not going to kind of get involved with. But for the time being, we are looking at 145 and 135 on Disney. What else are you guys talking about? Am I still in a PTON long? Yeah, I am in a PTON long, and it's not working out well, unfortunately. The read was good, but PTON creeping towards that 28, and 28 is going to be my exit point. At that point, I'm going to walk away from PTON. Trade was in this morning. I got in, and it hasn't worked out well. I mean, apart from the initial Facebook short and the PTON long, and Roku, who's just doing absolutely nothing to help my case. Everything else has been kind of cashed out. I talked about ZBH. Oh, ANGH. I know Neil was trading this earlier, and so was I. That's actually my biggest winner at the moment because I haven't cashed out some of these other names, right? So ANGH. Oh, I messed this one up. So coming into the day, I was like, oh, this looks like a pretty good read. Let me put up the daily. Why would I look for the long on ANGH? Well, we got above the multi-day high here, which was around 18. And then I'm like, we got above. Okay, how are we trading north of 18? It looks like, is there any more strength? Does it look like there's strength here on this? And then I'm looking at it coming down through 18. It's holding out well. So I'm like, okay, I want to play in this. I want to play on the long on 18 on ANGH. I'll put 16 as my stop. So you see the red line here. That's my 16 stop. Long was 18. I'll put up $2. It was somewhat thin in the pre-market, but I was like, you know what? It makes sense. I like the runner, and I like the setup. And in the event that it got going, we can get towards the highs. Well, I held on. As you can see, I got in right here, which was around early this morning. It was like 8 o'clock or something. It was like very thin. I got in, managed myself to get into a position, held on. It got to 1650. I'm like, oh man, they're going to run through 16. And then if held out, the level I was looking forward to holding held. We went up to 1891. It was like a quick spin. Went up to 1891, halted, opened up high, went towards 23. I'm like, sweet, we're going to go towards that 25, and then I can actually move the stop on this. Turns out that wasn't the case. We just spun right back around. I was like, oh. At that point, I was like, you know what? I'm losing the 20. I've lost the 20. This is, once we cleared the 21, I was like, we had space. Spin around. New information tells me that I don't have the space. Walk away. Cashed out right around that 19 mark. So for all the work that I did, even though at one point it was up $5, if you call it unrealized, around 23, I walked away with $1. Right? So we have walked away from ANGH, making $1 after holding this all morning, I guess, into the open. And as I say, this Facebook taking another leg now after attempting to take 25 or attempting to take 225, now spinning back around to 224.69 it's trading at. And let's take a quick look at the Facebook management. Yeah, see, I was worried about the buy strength through here. This is a 5-minute chart of through this 225. Turns out, not a big deal. We still got some more selling left. So 228 is still going to be in play. All right, that's 230. 228 is right here. 228 is still going to be the trail stop. We're not going to get some out in front of 225. We'll see what the market wants to do in the event that Facebook puts in a brand new low. So we'll leave it be. Why is this rocket not taking off? Taking off. Well, there's a whole launch procedure for some rockets. So you may be waiting for, I don't know what rocket you are talking about, but hey, some rockets may need some more time to get going. Propulsion is not ready. So we are still waiting for that. Whichever rocket you're waiting on, propulsion may not be ready. All right, let's see. What is it? ADGI? I looked at this. I talked about, well, maybe I didn't talk about this. I did look at this. Spen, I looked at the ADGI. There was nothing for me to do with the chart because remember, I want to see the chart, right? ADGI is not ready on the daily. Look at what you're running into. Right around here, 10 to 12, 10 to 11. You clear 11, I'll definitely be involved. But for the time being, yes, it's up 20%. Yes, it's up $1.59, but we're hitting some resistance here going back to the daily, so I'm going to wait it out. Trend is pretty solid. Like I said, I don't like to draw trend lines, but for me, I'm going to mark off an alert north of 11 even, and then we'll talk. But for the time being, ADGI trending strong. It is looking like a decent trend, but it's not going to be up my wheelhouse because of where we are on the daily. So I'm going to leave it as is. Where are we sitting on likes? 1.4. All right. What do you guys think that I can do? We've got 3,200 viewers. It's about 7 minutes short of 1 p.m. Eastern time. I've got roughly an hour and change left. What do you guys think that I can get to in terms of likes doing this solo? You guys think I can get to 2K likes? If you think so, let me know. I would love to get some likes because I think that's about 2/3 of the people still watching Platinum Maroon. You're never going to see me go platinum. I'm going to... yeah, right. That's not happening. Yeah, I'm coming to you.
If you get 2K likes, then NBCT breaks $10. The stock's probably going to break $10 anyway, so kind of just being cheap. But this stock is insane, man. And it just broke a 950. Like each time I have it working, 750, now 650. Last time in here. Sorry. Here we go. Every time you get a short in the stock, it starts going like small amount, 750 to 650. 950 down. Like
Neil, your mic. No,
it's on now. It should be working. It just took a second there for some reason. You should hear. Come on, my mic is on. I'm like staring at it. Mic is on. Powered. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can. My mic has been on this entire time. Maybe just go back. My mic's on. I don't know what's going on.
All right. Well, Neil's been muted. Yeah, apparently. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm pressing the wrong button somewhere. Maybe I muted you or something. We should get Lucas here somewhere. It was working last time, though, right? Yeah, okay. I didn't press anything extra, so. Can you guys hear me now? How about now? Very low, you say? Can you hear me now? Nope, you can't hear me now. Low volume. Can we get Lucas in here?
Now does it work, guys? Okay, they're saying it's okay now. All right. Now what I was trying to get at was A, if you get a rune to 2,000 likes, NVCT will break $10. And guess what? Until I said it, it looks like it doesn't want to break 10. But this stock is following, okay, that's great guys in the chat. The stock is following some pretty interesting patterns here. I didn't want to try any shorts until it broke. It got past lunchtime and you thought it had gone parabolic enough, but 750 and now 950 both look like they're turning over and the buyers just come in en masse. It's now got a $10 even handle as the top, and it's trying to turn off $10 right now, so I'm going to try to get back in. I've kind of been looking for this thing to get to like an obvious level and then curl, and every time it gets to the 50s, it hasn't worked. Now $10 is just screaming there, so actually I'm going to get into long there just now. Get my stop order ready to go. Didn't actually think I was going to get this short off $10 as I came to you guys, but be very careful. These low floaters, we're just talking with Brendan, it seems like the new thing is IPO and then have less than 3 million shares worth of a float, go gangbusters in the first day or two. It's not a squeeze, but low liquidity on a float does turn it into a squeeze candidate, and then you have these moves happen. It gets popular on a message board or whatever causes these things to rally, and then Bob's your uncle. And fighting them in the morning is usually a death sentence. So you kind of want to maybe latch onto these early on. If you find one of these early on in the day, it's probably worth it if you can structure along somewhere. Like if you look at the halt price initially at about 10 o'clock, it got to 470, opens higher, tries to retake that halt level to the downside, and then breaks back out. So you can probably find some support levels in there, whether you give it to 450, whether you let it retake 5 and put your stop at the low. Once it looks like it's going to resist that break, I think you're okay. At this point, it's so far up, there's no chance I want any part of the longs. I'm just going to try to go relatively tight stop shorts. In this case, I got like a 60 short, looking to risk a 10 break, and then I'm not even getting out until it gets, I'll probably take first out below 9, between 850 and 9. So you're looking for a bigger retracement level. It was a $5 IPO. So, ultimately, this is also psychologically a double up on a 10 even break. I'm willing to bet that if it makes a 10 break and then comes right back down, I'll probably just short it back in if it can't make the break. If it looks like a fail break at 10, I'll take another crack at it. But every single time I get in, I gotta have it out at that high of the day. This stock is going absolutely crazy, up 200%. But at some point, they usually come back. So take your profit. No one ever went broke taking profit. If you're long, great return, congratulations, but you don't want to give it all up.
All right, you heard it. You got to find a way to lock in profit. It's one thing to get into a trade. it's a completely different thing to actually lock in profit, because the name of the game is to make money, right? So you got to lock it in as much as you possibly can. So I'm going through the chat here before everyone went absolutely nuts. Thank you for the engagement, by the way. Everyone's saying that they can hear the mic, at least Neil's mic anyways. Is it a requirement? This is hilarious. Is it a requirement to have really short hair in Trader TV, except for Sean? Well, Brendan's got the longest hair. I have, you see my head, right? I've got about 9 months left of whatever's here before I got to go bald. And it's just one of the games that comes with the stress of dealing with the markets, unfortunately. Unless there's people out there. Is there anyone in the chat that's actually got like a full set of hair after trading for a very, very long time? I'd love to know if that's even possible. Arun, what is Arun's socials? None. Off social media, guys. I don't have anything. I'm here on the show. But if you want to follow anyone from Trader TV, not me, you have Trader TV Sean, you have Trader TV Neil, Trader TV Brendan, and I think there's Trader TV Brad. If anything, you guys just put the in the chat, just type in ! and the person's name, and it'll bring up their socials. So it's there for you guys if you ever wanted to know anyone's socials from there. It's just me. I just choose not to kind of get involved. I just, my whole thing is I'm a pretty private person too. I don't really care too much about what's being circulated. So I kind of just do my thing, focus on my own game, and that's it. So I just kind of leave things be, and I don't get involved in social media. So I just kind of mind my own business, if anything. So I'll be here. I'm obviously on the show doing this on the futures thing for in the mornings for like a few minutes, and then anytime these guys need a day off, I'll be here to fill in for them. So there you go. I'll be there to fill in. But apart from that, that's the only place you're ever going to see me. Actually, that's a lie. The only other account that I actually do have a LinkedIn account, but I don't use it. It's just there for the sake of having a professional account, but I don't use it. So you can't even get access to me from there because I don't do anything with it. It's just one of those things where it's a personal choice, really. It's just easier for me. Okay, now I got to go through this because people are now giving me suggestions on how to. 4 years, still got hair for now. Yeah, I had hair 4 years in too. 9 years, okay. Bill France, he's got some good genes. It looks like I'm halfway to 3K. For the likes, if we get you there, will you dye your stash and beard? No. I say no, but then I'm in my head, I'm like, what would that even look like? That'd be interesting. But I know I can't do it. I just can't. I'm adventurous, but not that adventurous. So I'll leave it be. Long on foreheads, yes, sir. In about long on foreheads in about 9 months, you'll cash out soon. Sean is spelled with the SHAWN. So there you go. It should show you there. There you go. Sean's Trader TV Sean and his Instagram as well. Full head, 25 years full time. Damn, Peter. Respect, because that is very impressive. Because maybe it's just me. I guess I was going bald anyways. This just accelerated the process. All right, here we go. What do we got? Any views on the Indian stock market? I don't trade it, so I don't know. I'm crazy thing. I'm not even that proficient with the Canadian stock market, and we're in Canada. It's just that I just know my arena, and I know it very well. And I could expand outside. I could always learn, but for the time being, I've decided that I wanted to just focus on futures, North American equities, futures. I'm starting to build something with European futures as well, with the stocks futures. STOXX, by the way, for anyone wondering what that was about. The stocks futures, Eurostoxx 50. Yeah, Eurostoxx 50 futures. I'm still looking at that, but that's a project that I'm just kind of working on. But I kind of focus on what I do the best, which is North American equities and futures, or North American futures mostly, and then equities. Arun, what are the trading platform you've been using in Canada? Well, in Canada, we obviously with DayTrading.Live, we have our internal software. This is built in-house, built for us by our software development team. And today is actually the first day of our latest release of our software. So for anyone who's watching from a different office, guys, you guys should be on the brand new software. I'll have a webinar for all of our managers next Tuesday. So if you need help with the software, I'll be there for you guys next Tuesday. We'll go through it, and that's when the next webinar is for with an account. And then obviously within Canada, I mean, if you're retail, you can probably do Interactive Brokers or Quest Trade. I think those are the two biggest ones that are around. And obviously you can go through the banks as well. Can I check CCL? Sure thing. Let me take a quick look. I think I'd looked at CCL a few days ago, and then I was like, oh, it's up 6% on the day. Nice little breakout, looks like, north of 21. But the problem with 21 is that there's like resistance all the way up to 22. The reason I say resistance is because, what day was this? 20th? We kind of opened down or went up, that tail, that massive tail, and then went down again. And then every time we cracked 21 on the 26th and on the 2nd, it looks like it wants to back down. So for me, it looks like 21 into 22 is going to be a problem. For CCL, it does look like it's finding some buy-side support, but at the same time, there's some resistance that I want to respect. So until we cross 22, we're not going to do anything with it. We're going to leave it alone. It looks like Facebook finally catching a bid here. So maybe that 225 area is an area that I want to respect here a little bit. Maybe we do need to put some bids down and see if we can get some of this out instead of holding it all the way. So I'm going to see if I can get some out close to 225. It does look like we finally found a nice little bid into the second half of the day. So we'll see how this goes. But 228 is a trail stop unless this comes back towards 225, at which point I'll cash out some of this. Nick, again, throwing some money. You're a trader. You don't need hair. Shave it off. More time to work. You know, the crazy thing, though, Nick, is that I used to have longer hair. So this was like a personal project of mine. This was years and years ago. And this is when everything started to fall off. So I had I normally had, I want to say like around Brendan's length, maybe slightly shorter than Brendan's length. And then I'm like, one day I really wanted to have long hair. I really wanted to see what that looked like. So I grew it out. And then I really spent time growing it out. And it made my hair so brittle and it started falling out. And I'm like, oh, I can't do this. And then from that day on, it was just downhill. It never lasted. My hair was always falling off. And I was always losing hair, a pillow, whatever. And then I'm like, oh, this is not good. And then I went as short as possible, and it would never stop. So it's been a downhill trend since that moment in time. And here we are, and we're almost done with the hair. But if you were to shave it off, I still got that, the side hair. So that means even if I shaved it all off, I still got to kind of actually use the razor and shave it. So that's going to be annoying. So I do have to put in more work, actually, I think, if I go blonde. Okay. What do we have likes? 1.6K. Guys, we can get to 2K. I think we can do 2K. I think if we did 2K, I think it'll be 1K for Pratt, who's not here, and 1K for me doing this solo. So I think 2K is a realistic target. And we're, 3,100 people with 1.6K? There we go. We just jumped from 1.5 to 1.6. And so here we are waiting. Do you have an office to join? Do you have to have an office to join DTW? Depends. If you want to open up an office, then you will be the office manager. It'll be your floor, and you'll have traders working for you. If there is an office that is affiliated with Day Trader World, meaning they use the platform, they use the infrastructure, then that could work potentially as well. As I just say this, I just realized that, there's actually a futures trade I want to make on this. Oh, not yet. Damn. Okay, so futures, I just noticed 44.90. If we can get above 44.90 and stay above 44.90, there might be a trade that I want to work with on the futures. For the time being, I'm going to respect the strength or right here. I want to see us get above this. Remember, 65 is the level I have marked off. If we can get above and stay above here, I think there's a trade to be made. So futures now on the radar here for me, a potential trade. Back to Day Trader World. If you have an affiliated office with Day Trader World, there will be, obviously they go by their own names. They have their own names for their companies, but they'll be using the Day Trader World infrastructure. So I'm sure there are offices. We have a ton of offices globally, right? Even in India, I know some of you guys are watching from India. We have a few offices, maybe one 1 or 2 offices in India. I don't know the exact amount. Well, we do have some, and then we have a like maybe 15 in Canada, and then a bunch in China, and then all through Europe as well. So we do have offices. You just got to find which ones where they are. 3K for Arun. Hit the likes. We're at 1.6. We're halfway there. If you guys want to get me to 3K, much appreciated there. What about getting 3K likes and you get blonde plugs or a wig when Platinum Prat is on? Well, by the time Platinum Prat is on, I won't be here. You're going to have Valeria, which could be my Platinum look. So Valeria will be here back for you guys with Platinum Prat in the event that Platinum Prat is still on schedule for Valentine's Day. It'll be a Valentine. So I told Valeria that Platinum Prat was a gift to her from the viewers for Valentine's Day. So you guys need to live it up when she gets back. So assuming Prat actually carries it out for the 14th, I know he's got a lot going on. So we'll see if that still goes on schedule, but he will get it done. He said it's his word. He said he promised to do it. He'll get it done. It may be a little bit delayed, but he will get it done, and we'll see how that all works out. But you guys will definitely get your likes worth based on, especially when Valeria gets back, because she's not going to let it go. I haven't let it go. And I've already mentioned to her the 3K. I've sent her screenshots of the 3K, so that's definitely going to happen. Now I just got to figure out how I'm going to cash off Facebook. Ugh. I don't want to dump 226, but at the same time, I don't know if that 225 is doable. I may have to step up a little bit here. Yeah, okay. Maybe I'll get some mid 225s, maybe around here, because I do want to cash out some, because I noticed the hesitation earlier, and then I'm like, oh, I think we got through it. And now with this buy, I'm like, oh, maybe there is a lot more around that 225 that I have to respect and I have to worry about. So we'll keep an eye on this. In the event it turns back, that's cool. It is what it is. Roku turning around finally. Now we're from close to a $4 loser to a $2 loser. Remember, the trade was still solid. It wasn't cooperating based on how it was moving around. Finally, we're getting some movement. Daily setup was good. Now we're north of 158. Gives me some confidence that we can get back up towards 162. At least that way we can manage out a little bit. What do we got here? Pratt hiding in Mexico. Brad would love to be in Mexico right now. I'm pretty sure I would love to be in Mexico right now. Actually, I'm going to Mexico. Assuming nothing changes, I'm going to be going to Mexico towards the end of May or so. Brad got grounded by his mom, telling him, or because he told her that he's going platinum. It's possible. It is entirely possible that is exactly what's going down, but. I think he's more likely to just show up with his blonde hair, platinum hair, because at that point nothing can be done. It's too late. If you tell them ahead of time, they can be on your case until you get it done. But if you just show up, it's too late for them to do anything at that point, right? They just gotta live with it. They might not like it, but they gotta live with it. Bradley Taylor, more questions for you this Wednesday? Absolutely, thank you, sir. It's gonna be Tuesday, so my webinar is on Tuesday. And it's usually for any of our managers watching, Tuesday will be on our new software. So I'll go through any updates and any new changes that we have. Definitely have any questions. I'm always there to take questions, not just about our software, but also about any other issues that you may have gone through since our last webinar. And remember, anything that you're looking forward to, everything is recorded. All of our webinars, our manager meetings are all recorded. So you can always go on our internal site under the research tab, and you can always find all those previous recordings. Any in the UK? That's a good question. I don't know. I think Neil, do you know off the top of your head if we have an office in the UK? I remember there used to be one too, and I don't know if that one's still around. Yeah, okay, so Neil's going to look into it and see if we can't get an actual answer for that UK office. Actually, wait a minute. Isn't Bradley in the UK? Bradley Taylor, are you? Isn't your office in the UK? What's that? Yeah. if you wanted to find out, I'm sure we can find out. Let me quickly take a look. The issue is that everybody has their own name. So they use the Day Trade the World infrastructure, but they run with their own name, right? So they have their own, whatever you want to call it. I know when Sean and Neil had it, they had their own try something name. So everyone has different names, so we can't really tell unless we reach out to the sales team and figure out where these offices are. But definitely would love to trade if there's any in Vancouver. That's a good question. We used to have one in Vancouver. I know we have one in Calgary. I know for a fact. Vancouver, that one may have gone. But anyways, we'll take if you really want to find out, I'm sure if you did a search, there's an answer to that. What do we got? When Arun looks directly at the screen, it's like he's staring into your soul. I'm trying to get the message across, and hopefully that resonates deep in, and that you believe what I'm saying. And somebody earlier was saying, "Oh, I shouldn't, Arun, you're not supposed to smile." So it depends on when you catch me. If you catch me in the morning, like when I'm on the show for Neil or Sean, if you catch me then, that's when I'm trying to still figure out my trades, my entries, my stops, my targets, all that stuff. So I'm dialed in. Like that, I'm not going to smile. You're not going to see me smile. That's because I'm focused on what I need to do and all the other things that are going through my head on analyzing, I guess, what I'm looking at, right? Now, I'm not analyzing anything. Everything's done. I just need to manage. So it's just one of those things where it's much easier for me. That's why you have a different personality at this time of day, because it's almost like if you're going to go back to the athletes analogy that Greg brought up, it's me during game time and me during halftime. I'm at halftime right now. I don't have to do anything really. I don't have to do too much work. I'm keeping an eye on the futures. It's north of 90. I'm just waiting for some more stability before I step in on the futures, but I do like the idea of a long on the futures north of 44.90. So I'm still waiting on that. Facebook got closed. Where did it get to? I wanted to get out. Oh, we got to 63. Oh, I was waiting closer to 50. All right. Arun looks blazed 24/7. I am not. What you're noticing is me up at 4 a.m. so I can do a workout and then driving in. So this is the tired face, not the other face. There you go. In the office is in reading, apparently. There you go, guys. Because there are managers that are kind of watching this show as well, that are able to kind of put it out there, so they can answer your questions as well. I don't know the exact locations of all these offices. We have way too many. We have a lot. I want to say it's north of 200 something offices. So I can't keep track of all of them. I also don't know any offices in the U.S. That answer I do know. We have no offices in the U.S. Nothing. There's no business whatsoever in the U.S. and that is just a legal structure thing. So nothing there. How are you going to work out at 4 a.m.? When else am I going to work out, Neil? I wake up. I'm already. Wake up, brush my teeth. By the time I work out at home, right? So by the time I work out, I hit the gym or I'm lifting, it's like 4:30, I want to say. So, start early and then I'm out the door to come here for 7 o'clock and got to get my workout on. That's how I start my day. And last week, someone was asking, what does a typical day look like for me? It's that I wake up, work out, and then if I have to drive in, I'm driving in here to cover for somebody. Or if I'm at home, I'm at my desk by 8 o'clock, right? So I'm at my desk. I'll go through, and as soon as I hit my desk at 8 o'clock, futures markets are already open. They're almost 24 hours, so I'm already on top of my game here with the futures. I'll kind of run through everything, be like, oh, this is a trade I want to make. And then here's the crazy thing. I'll start at 8 o'clock, but if there's no trade to be made, I'll be sitting there doing absolutely nothing till whenever. So you see me with or I talk about, hey, who went to, there we go. I don't know why we went to Brendan there for a quick second. Brendan was putting in some work, doing something, but I think Lucas over there messing around. Wait, what do you mean? Okay, they're doing something. So they're trying to figure something out. Anyways, so that's my day. I start at 8 o'clock, and then I'll do Spanish. Like right now, my whole thing is learning Spanish. And then throughout the day, I'll wait for something to set up. And then if I get a setup, I get a setup. If not, I'll just keep Netflix, Spanish, whatever. Are we going to Neil? Neil, you good to go? All right, we'll go to Neil.
I just want to clarify something because I put it in the chat. I was just messing with Arun about how you gonna work out at 4 a.m. The reality is you've got to do whatever routine works for you. That comes with trading. That comes with lifestyle fitness. Like trading is a lifestyle. When do you go over your charts? How do you manage your risk? How do you journal, right? Like what's your mental process for everything? Fitness is a lifestyle too. Arun and I have talked about this before. I'm more of like, I used to be like, when I was younger, I used to be like a workout in the morning, but then you have kids and it changes things. So I try to get mine in the evenings, but you've got to find a way to do it. The other thing about trading, you're sitting down a lot. Like you're sitting down like in a chair in front of your screens the whole day. Like that's horrible for you. So I totally believe you got to move. You got to find a way to stay healthy. And I put this one in the chat too. Like a while back, we were joking about this, Arun, but you still owe me that race. We were gonna get on the track at one point, and it just never happened. Because I'll tell you this, Arun is a big boy. He can move. He played a little football in his day. So I'm kind of curious to see if we can ever get that one going. Back to stocks, because you guys can actually see this chart up, so I might as well talk about it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, now 6 times. 6 times short on NVCT. The difference with this one, I mean, they're kind of all the same thing, like relatively tight stops each time, but there is a big, big fail at 10 even. I mean, it shot through, ran stops to 10.35, and has slammed down and been consolidating. There's now a buyer at 9.30. I did jump in front of that buyer just to get some of it out here because I got back in at like the 60s. But if we break that 9.30, I think we're at least headed to 8, if not VWAP. That's a pretty strong. It was a pretty strong failure up there at $10 on this name. And it's the only thing I'm trading outside of, I mean, I got a fun reversal at 3 on the 316 or 315 break. So if you're watching Funware, it finally broke that 15 level. There you go. Finally broke the top. I got one out so far on the way up. It's gone to 323. Pretty slow and tough sledding for this stock, but that was a breakout that we're waiting for a while. So I'll probably take more out in front of the quarter. I think you could easily get to 340, 350, but there are some levels at that 340. You just kind of go back. Last time it got up here, it did put a failure in at 340, so take some profit on the way up. Makes some sense to me here. As now, like seriously, I flip away from NVCT, right? There was that buyer I was just trying to show you guys up here at 9.30. The second I flip to another stock, it's like boom, the buyer's gone, starts flushing in. Sometimes it just takes like, again, tight stops all the way through, but sometimes you really just got to wait for a real failure. Like this was the biggest failure it made. It was at $10. I'm trying to short curls at 750, at 950, but it wasn't until it ran some stops at 10 even that you actually get a capitulation. And even then, it's not like this stock is all the way back down to like VWAP or anything. I'm just gonna move my order back closer to 8 even here, because it looks like that could really flush again. But either way, NVCT, $10 failure finally comes through. And the beginning of this rant was me saying, you absolutely got to find time to work out. 4 a.m., 10 a.m., doesn't matter. Like Sean says, stay hydrated. You got to move. Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. There it is. We cheers a little Tim Hortons action. Sean's got the fancy coat on. He just came back. So we're chilling. We'll be back at 2 o'clock. I'll throw it back to Ruin. You're killing it, bro.
All right. Here we go. Back to me. I just saw the Tim Hortons cup. I haven't gone to Tim Hortons in a very long time. I can't believe they changed the cup, the color of the cup to white now. It used to be like a brown. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what I meant. The top of the cup, well, it used to be like a brownish color. Now it's white. Brand new things. You learn everything. I haven't been to Tim Hortons in a while. For anyone who doesn't know, Tim Hortons is like the biggest coffee chain in Canada. People don't call it coffee. They call it, do you want to go to Timmy's? Right? It's not even, do you want a coffee? It's, do you want to go to Timmy's? And everybody knows, right? So, and for anyone who's also not in the know, Justin Bieber had his little, what is known as a donut hole. They call them Timbits in Canada. And he had his he had his Tim Biebs is what they called it. And I think we had a little taste test on the show. Everyone found out that they were ridiculously sweet. All right. Going back to the show, I see that we have 2,900, just short of 3,000 viewers, but we've got 1.6K likes. So what my goal for this week is we've already got Prad to Platinum Prad. We got the 3K likes, Platinum Prad, that's happening. What I want to show Prad is that this is not a fluke. It was not a fluke that we got 3K. We got 3.3K last time. Can we do 3K again this week? Obviously, I'm running solo today, so north of 2K would help. And the other thing too is, regardless of all the things that we talk about, the dyeing hair and all that stuff, it's also just to move up in the algorithm, right? YouTube has an algorithm. If you feel that this information that we're talking about is valuable and helpful, watching Sean Neal trade, watching Prad, the newer trader, he's 2 years in, but he's still relatively new compared to, I guess, the people on the show anyways. Learning, as you see them learning and you see me come on and talk about it. If you guys like the content, if you like what we're talking about, if you like the education that's being provided, just help us move up in the algorithm, right? We're just trying to get higher up. I think now the morning show has like 7,000 viewers or something. There's more viewers. I know there's more traders out there watching. It's just a matter of how do you get the message out, right? And doing it naturally, right? It's like an organic growth thing, right? So we're just trying to grow this channel, and they're trying to get the show going, more people going, just to watch it. I know there's like somebody last week was asking about Trader Expo. We're not going. I don't think we're going. I haven't heard anything else. But if you guys are going, just mention it out there. We just want to get more people because the information is there, is valuable. We think it's valuable. And if you want to make changes, and I'm here all of this week anyway. So if there's certain things that you guys want to see more of from me while I'm here for another 4 days, just put in the chat. I'll look through the chat and see if I can't, kind of build something, because that's what I do with the managers when I kind of go on there and do their webinars. I kind of build something based on the topics that they would like to discuss and what they have questions with, and I always leave the door open to not just talking about what I want to talk about, but also leaving the door open for what they need help with. So I'm here. Put in the chat. Obviously, I can't help every single person, but if there's a very big consensus on something that they would like covered, then I can definitely kind of create something and talk about it more, and I'll just write this stuff down. Update, though, Facebook. We've cashed them out. Finally, we cashed them out around this 225.50, so we got them out here. You see that red or the green arrow here. So the short is right up here. After a whole mess of longs and shorts that did not work out all the way through here. So here we are short around 231, and then here cash them out about a $5.40 or so in the first little bit. And yeah, there we go. What am I? I'm providing great info. Thank you so much. I need to go to the Trader Expo. I mean, I actually know I've never been to the expo ever. I've heard about it, and the only thing I remember is one of our traders went and got, the monitor stands. It was got like a 6 monitor stand or something. He's like, it was a great deal. I got it. And then he stopped using it a while later, and then I just took it from him. So yeah. Am I single? The answer is no. Sorry. I am married. Do you have an office in Montreal, and where do I apply? I don't think. I know we have a trader in Montreal, but the structure is different, and I don't know if you have a public office in Montreal, actually. Take a look at, if you're Canadian, and I got to find a better way of getting you guys a list of offices. I want to see where our offices are. Let me look into this. Let me find out if we can get a list of where everyone's offices are in the event that you guys wanna, maybe potentially apply to an office. Let me look into it and see what I can do in terms of grabbing the info. And some people are asking for Tony. So here's the thing with Tony. Because I don't come into the office much, I don't know everyone who's recent and recently hired. Apart from the people that I know that have been here for a while, I don't know. And Tony's somewhat of a new hire. He's out here. I have no clue. I don't have a relationship with Tony. Give me a couple days. Let me kind of develop some rapport with him, and then we'll bring him on the show maybe when Prad's back later this week, and he can sit in here and you guys can ask whatever questions you want. But for the time being, let me just figure out some info, like offices and where they are, and then also figure out what I can do with Tony as we go from there. Google is always your friend. Yep. Arun, you don't seem like you'd be into expos. Yeah, I think that's too many people. But I mean, I'm always open to trying to go. Oh, futures now at 95. Damn. Okay, I'm still not convinced. Ugh. I may have to get into this a little bit later, but I do like the idea of a long of 44.90 against 44.65. I'll keep an eye on this. I'm just not entirely convinced. Volume is very low. That's the only reason I'm hesitating this much on the futures, because this time of day you got to be very careful because volume is easy to trap out. People talking about CFVI still going. Oh, what do you do with CFVI now? I couldn't do anything with it, and they cleared that 16. They cleared that 16 in a big way. I kind of just lost track of this, and once they took 16 the second time, it is gone. Okay, well, I'll just put this up. I'm done with Facebook anyways because I've managed my Facebook position for the most part. That can take care of itself now. So we'll go with CFVI. We'll leave it here. I'll put a 15-minute chart down. Oh, why did I? Oh, I have it marked off too. As you can see in this line, it's already marked off, that 16. And then I just got caught doing something else. And then, all right, I'll put that up and we'll see if we can't. All right. What happens if you lose more than your daily limit? Well, you shut down. What we have is shut down, so you're logged out of your account or you're pushed out of your account. You can no longer take any more trades. That's for us here. But as a trader, though, you do have to have your own cutoff point. At what point do you stop trading, right? Do you stop trading after this many losses? I think we had this conversation with Prad last time, and I said that you should probably stop when you're not thinking tactically. Me, I'm a very analytical person. So for me, if I ever get emotional, then I know that I'm not on top of my game, that I need to kind of back off a little bit. Everyone's going to have that threshold. It's going to be different. So what I would suggest is that when you're no longer seeing what the chart is presenting, but you're just like, oh, one more trade, I can make this back. I swear I can make this back, or something like that. When you start to talk or think as if you're trying to just squeeze out a winner, then maybe take a step back, right? For us here, the shutdown is like a monetary limit, but at the same time, you should have your own psychological cutoffs as well when you actually when you have your own psychological cutoffs as well, because every trader is slightly different. All right, let me. Team PJT, Arun, how's your BlackBerry going? It is sitting in my drawer doing nothing, but I've got the passport, right? So now, not the passport. Sorry. So I'm so used to saying passport. It is the Pixel 6 Pro, and it's doing. I mean, like I can surf now. I can surf online now. No issues there. So here we are, kind of just working with our new phone. For anyone who's kind of out of the loop, for the longest time, I had a BlackBerry passport, like a red passport. I had it for like 5 years, I think. And as of 2021 or 2022, at the beginning of 2022, BlackBerry took down their legacy support. So my device was part of the legacy series of models, and it did not. It did not work anymore. It won't work anymore. It's just a brick sitting there. So it's just, for the time being, it's sitting there. I'm not going to do anything with it because I really did like that phone. Mike Crehan, talking about fun, eh? I think, wasn't Sean trading this earlier? Sorry, guys. Oh, yeah, here we go. Fun taking off to the upside. There you go. I see you, Mike Crehan. Fun up 32%, up 83 cents, and working 350. Oh, there you go. Sean's got it. So he'll give you an update on what Fun's doing.
Yo, what up, Mike? What up, everybody? Yeah, look, I mean, I've told you how I was going to trade this thing, and hopefully that we get a blowout right here. So we didn't get longer down here at 70, but yeah, we still have this as it's taking out the top. We're long right here at $3 break. We took the 315, thought that was pretty good. And then honestly, just haven't been looking at other things, but that was a clean break. As soon as we took that 315, boom, right there, then a reload. But right now we are still in this with a nice little winner. Facebook has been a nightmare, obviously, today. We'll talk about that on the main show, or not on the main show, on our next show that we come back. But the one thing that we did do was take Microsoft off the bottom. So you could see pretty clean here. clean all the way to the downside. We waited for some kind of a reversal. We took it off 302, and now you're at 303.50. So we are, in the money now at $1.50 after taking out 20, 40, 60% on the way up. Now we're in the money that $1.50. That last trade right there is $1. So so far so good. And then we'll talk about Facebook when we get back here, but this has been me just buy all these dips and all the way out. So we still are long right now at 224.44, but definitely losing day on Facebook today. What can we do? It's been fine. It's just, we talked about this earlier. I know, Arun, you had the short on the 230 break right here to the downside. We were long, and then got out at 227. So that's really, this is the one hit that hurt. We did get out some at 230 when it broke, but we retried the long. So all of that's been a problem. And then since then, there's one in and out right there, which has been fine. Rebuild, upside. Now we're getting a chance to reload again. But I mean, this takes out 224. At some time, you just got to say forget about it. And I know you were short, which is great. We've made back a lot of money holding this, but at the same time, it's coming right back down. So watch out for Facebook. The ES and the NASDAQ had a nice little run off the bottom, but again, it looks like we're turning around now, but okay, we'll wait for that one. That's it. So we have a nice little fun trade here, up in the money, 33 cents, just left that go all day. Microsoft, and then Palantir, again, long off the open and out. Then we reloaded back here at 13 and got some out at 16 and then again at 19. So right now we are long Palantir as well at 08. But get ready, 25 more minutes, Arun, and your omens work is almost complete.
All right, back to me. I was going through the chat as Sean was talking, and looks like Alexis has an office, or is it office manager in Cancun. There you go. We have offices in Cancun as well, apparently, which surprised me. I know we have in Mexico. I was just surprised in like a tourist location. I'm surprised we have an office. But hey, again, I'm not in the know with every single office because we have way too many. And then T Straight asking the right question. Arun, what was the first rule you told Prad is the first rule of trading? Well, so Prad was constantly asking me, he's like, I got the right trade, but I kept getting out. He was trying to trade the MNQs, right? Like the micro NASDAQs. And he was just like, Arun, he was looking at me. He's like, because I trade the futures quite a bit. And he's like, Arun, what do I do? Like, how do I stay in this trade? Because, I got out, it took a, X amount winner and it went like 3 times more. Like, how do I stick with this? And I was like, rule number 1 is don't be a blank. Now that blank is a cat, right? I'm sure you guys can put that together. So I said, don't be a blank. And then I told them, I'm like, once you get past rule number 1, we'll get to rule number 2. We're still working on rule number 1 with Pratt. So hopefully by the end of the week, we'll get to rule number 2 and I'll give him something else. But for the time being, rule number 1 is still in play for Pratt. Virgin Hyperloop from D Queen. Thank you so much for the super chat there. So here we go. What do we got here? Arun, you manage the show single-handedly and effortlessly. Thank you. I'm just trading. It's a lot easier when, and I think this is the issue with YouTube, is that you have a lot of people that don't really trade or someone new to trade trying to teach other traders, so they don't have the experience. And they're just, they read a book, and they're like, I'm going to make a YouTube video, and then they try to talk, and a lot of it doesn't make any sense, nor can they, handle the talking of or explaining the markets. Now, it's different when you come to, say, Neil, Sean, myself, where we have the experience. So I'm just falling back on a lot of the trades. I'm just talking about psychology a lot because I have the experience of all the things that could possibly go wrong, and I'm sure I have all the stories that I can relate to everything that's happening in this market at some point. At some point, I've been screwed in some way. So it has not gone well, so I'm sure I can laugh at it now, but it wasn't fun then. So when I have that experience, I don't need to know what's written in a book. I've gone through it. So it's a lot easier to kind of go through it when you're doing that. So that's my whole thing. And we're just trying to get out there and try to provide. There's so much noise, especially in this space, because everyone's trying to pretend to be a good trader, and they're trying to sell something. They're like, follow me and my, whatever, my strategy and this and all that stuff. And it's hard to kind of get through that noise. So the only way we figured, or what that was figured for this show, was that you just keep it real. Everyone on the show has the experience. Rely on the experience for the knowledge, and hopefully it relates, right? And then you see the real trades in real time. And if we're making money or we're getting screwed, you're seeing it real time. We can't BS through this. I'm making money on Facebook, but at the same time, you see my trades. I got screwed earlier on Facebook on the long, and then on the short, and then finally the third short or the second short worked out. That's all there for you guys, right? We're trying to keep it as real as possible. So at least that way, it's not just we're pretending. If you see the show, watch the show, it's legit content. So we're just trying to keep it as real as possible. And it's growing. It's growing, but I think we can use your help to grow it even faster, whether it's through word of mouth or even just like through likes. Because I see we're at 1.8K. The more likes we get, the higher up we move in the channel or in the algorithm on YouTube, and then more content for more people, right? More people watch it. Like, oh, that's great. And that was somebody, I kind of didn't get a chance to see it, but someone earlier was saying, this is the channel I've been looking forward to, something like this. So just discovered it recently. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that are spending a lot of time trying to figure out, hey, how can I learn markets without spending $1,000 or $2,000 on all these guys that are trying to tell you or teach you how to trade, right? So it's just the whole thing about just trying to be legit, and it's hard to do when the space is already crowded with nonsense. How do you trade ES pre-market? The volume is pretty thin. Then what are you doing differently? So for me, when I look at the futures, damn futures, 96 now. Ugh. All right. Let me grab the futures chart here. Well, let's just put up a chart here. The market is thin, right? It's relatively thin, but at the same time, you got to understand the futures market is not like the stock market. Because the futures market is built to be trading almost 22 hours and 45 minutes to be exact, almost 24 hours. It's built to be traded through the Australian session, through the Asian session, through the European session, and then finally close out at the end of the North American session. So it's essentially meant to be traded through various global markets. So there's always somebody trying to hedge with international equities, hedge their positions. Even if it's not North American firms, it could be some firm from other parts of the world that's trying to develop a position for their own portfolio. So there's always going to be volume. It's thinner, but at the same time, the volume will always be there. Right, you're not going to get the same kind of action that you get during North America, but at the same time, it's not like you need to be scared of the futures market. The only times I've seen futures markets be ridiculously thin overnight is when there's reports. We're talking, what's it called? The European Central Bank, the ECB, when the ECB is doing something. There's a special, I don't know if people remember this. A lot of you guys trade Forex. Remember the day that the Swiss franc went absolutely nuts? Days like that. Those are the days that you need to worry about, because then all of a sudden liquidity dries up, right? But every other day, futures market overnight, it's fine. Like I start trading at 8 o'clock, and even then, that's not really a pre-market. It's pre-market for stocks, but futures market already have data releases at 8:30. So you have movement in the futures market that you can take and not worry about the volume just being absolutely abysmal. So there's possibility of trading well in the pre-market. For the futures market, it's just another hour because European is still open. Europe's still open. So anyone who's still doing futures-related purchases or sells that are still working some European positions, they might still be trading there. So there's still volume to be provided across the multiple markets, right? Here we go. What do we got for likes? We're still at 1.8K likes, guys. Come on, we can get to 2K, I think. All right. What is the time that the futures frame are closed out? Well, 4:15 p.m. Eastern time is the day that is a time frame, or is when the futures market closes every day, and then 6 p.m. they open back up. So it's offline for hour 45, and then we open back up. That's why you'll see a gap sometimes between 4:15 and 6 o'clock, because there might be something that came out, whether it's an earnings report or something that kind of moved the market. All right. Well, what do we got here? I'm just going up through the scanner here. Walmart. Okay, yeah. Walmart's one of those names where I've been kind of working I've been looking at Walmart, and there was a few trades earlier, but now it's kind of done this. Like, this is the daily. You got a low of like, what, 134. You got a high of the top end of the range at 148. And I wouldn't even trust 148 because of what you see up here. So I'd have to move that 148 directly to the high, which is like 152.5. I don't like using half points, so I'll go right to 153. And we're just kind of wedged in here. And this has been, what, October? August. This is August. Top end of the range back in November. And now here working the bottom end of the range again. If you're looking for some sort of longs, I think against 134 could potentially work out if you get the setup. But for the time being, I'd be very careful on trying to catch a trend trade. If you're trying to catch a range move, the trade is there. The trade is in play for a potential range. And of course, if you break the bottom, then you kind of just open it up a little bit to the downside. But for the time being, I think 134 on the bottom, 153 up top. And those are the two areas that we're going to work with. I see CFVI coming back a little bit. Remember, I'm still looking at that 16 marker. Not as confident anymore because I think the move may have run its course. But I'm still looking at potential trades here in that 16 marker. So we'll leave that alone, work that off. What's Facebook doing? We've kind of, or Meta, we've cashed out some on Meta here around this 225.50 something. And then we're just going to manage it out. 228 is going to be the trail point. We're going to leave it be. Not a whole lot going on. All right, what do we got here? Fun. Sean went through fun, so I'm not going to kind of go into it because he's actually trading it. And if you waited 15 minutes, Sean will show you exactly what he's doing with fun. For the time being, SPY heading up. Yep. SPY futures all heading up. Well, SPY is futures. SPY is the ETF version of the S&P futures contract. Okay, so I'm starting to see decent stability. What I want to see is what happens in the event this market were to go towards 44.90. So what I want to see some selling come in on the futures. And if we can maintain some strength, I'm going to go ahead and put an order down and see if I can grab some longs in front of 44.90. Stop on this is going to be, so I look for some longs here. If we can actually grab, if I want to see some selling, if we can find some support, I go for the long. Stop on this is going to be 44.65. 25-point risk, which works out to be $12.50 per contract, $1,250 in risk per contract that you take. Because remember, they're leveraged 50 times, right? So we're going to wait on that one. Facebook is kind of moving back up, trail point in place. Roku is coming back. It's not really coming back. It's just kind of going sideways at this point. So we'll leave Roku as well. We'll leave Roku alone. Not a whole lot going on there. That's the 5 minute. Yeah, it's working at that 158.50. Not a whole lot. And then PTON bounced. Great. But now it's got to go another $3 to get this one back in the money. It bounced right off that. It bounced right off of that 28 level. My stop is just south of 28. And it went 9 cents below. But again, my stop is south of not a little bit more than that. So that's the only reason we're not out. But it is back at 229 or 29 even. And we're waiting for this to go up. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. PayPal still hitting the low. All right, I'll take a look at PayPal. Arun, who wins the Super Bowl? I don't know. But who would I prefer to win the Super Bowl? I know people don't like LA, but I do like LA. Specifically, for this moment in time, I like the idea of Matt Stafford having a ring. I feel like he spent a lot of time in Detroit. Going through it, just for his sake, I feel like I would prefer him to get a ring. Obviously, you can argue that they have like somewhat of a beast of a team with Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey in the corner and all that stuff, and the Cooper Kupp and OBJ and stuff like that as receivers. But for the sake of Stafford, I just want him to win a ring. Now, Joe Burrow is a good quarterback for Cincy, but he's young. He still has years on him. He hasn't been with one team for, 10 years or something like that. So for the sake of Stafford, I just hope that it's him. Not everyone likes that idea, but I do prefer. Arun, what is your favorite sport to watch? So my whole thing is I'm a fairly athletic guy. I have a background in football, American football. I'll watch sports that I'm not good at, just because I always want to learn. I'm always in the idea of learning. So I've watched a little bit of tennis. I don't really watch basketball. I watch a little bit of tennis, and I've watched some soccer games. So what would be considered football outside of North America. So I watched some soccer games. And as everyone knows, I'm sure by now, I play FIFA. Not a big FIFA guy. I play against one person, one of my close buddies. We're super competitive with each other. So anytime that, you know, he's got his kids in bed and my wife's off to bed and we find some time, usually it's like on the weekends or somewhere. We'll kind of go head to head. We'll go a few games back and forth. I thought I was good, but he always finds a way to win. It'll be like tie game until the final 10 minutes of the game, and he'll score one goal, and then I lose. And he's got a winning record, by the way, so it's not a good look. Sean, are you still long fun? Yeah. Yes. Lupe, he is still long fun. He will not be getting out, is what he said. So if you stick around for another 10 minutes and go over to the afternoon show, you'll see what he does with it as we get closer to the end of the day. Do I trade the VIX futures contract? You know, I looked into VIX futures. I thought there wasn't any volume on the VIX futures. It was somewhat relatively new, and I looked at it. I was like, man, there's actually no volume. And I could be wrong on this. I know a lot on, at least on the floor. I know we look at, what is it, VIXI? Is it VIXI? Yeah, I think on the floor we look at the VIXI and VXX, I think, for futures. But I don't, or not futures, for volatility. But I don't think we trade the futures contract itself. I think it's a volume issue. What are we? Oh, we're still at 1.8, guys. I think before we got 10 minutes left. You guys can just get it to 2K in likes. That'd be lovely. So we'll get going there. All right. What else we got here? Ruben, put your gamer tag on the Discord. I want a match of FIFA with you. I'm not on Discord, and I also don't take my games online, unfortunately. The only reason I even have FIFA is to play against my buddy. That's the only reason. I only have games to play against certain people. I have FIFA to play against my buddy, and then I had Warzone because my cousin wanted to play with me, probably to get a better lobby, but I'm not very good, but he's pretty decent actually. So I only played like Warzone with him, and I only played FIFA with my buddy, and then in between on my own, I'll play Far Cry. I play the Far Cry 6 is the latest one I've played, and then right now I'm playing Hitman. But I take forever because again, I don't have time during the week, and I only ever play on the weekends when I have time. So, all right. Arun, you're close to 2K on likes. Well, I see at 1.9. I'm not seeing the 2K. We can just get it there soon. And remember, though, this week is going to be a project. This is day one. We're getting warmed up with the 2K likes. So next week, not next week, tomorrow, starting tomorrow, we're going to try to get to 3K again so we can show Prad and Valeria that, one, it's not undoable, and two, that the fact that we got it done wasn't a fluke. It wasn't just because of this one-time thing. We can get it done. We get like more than 3,000 viewers. We get close to 4,000 viewers to start the day. If everybody hits the like off the top, we can definitely move up in the algorithm, and we can show these guys that it can be done and that it wasn't a fluke. I think that definitely needs to be delivered to these guys because, I mean, I'll be here for the rest of the week, but as they come back and they take over, they at least know that you guys are watching. There's content here, and there's content here, and then people do want to watch and people do like what they're seeing. Am I in the witness protection program? No. But I mean, it'd be very dumb of me to come on camera if I was. But at the same time, I'm also very private with a lot of my stuff. So I don't put, like, I'm not an in-your-face kind of guy. I don't do that at all. So I'm very kind of not behind the scenes, but I just like to keep things quiet. As I said last time, I like to be a ghost, right? I just show up, do what I need to do, and I'm disappear. I just disappear. So that's kind of what I like to do. Arun, what's the best futures resource to learn? I went through this Friday. It wasn't the best futures thing to learn, but overall just stock related. Because when it comes to futures, it's essentially like trading a stock, but You just have to know the rules, which are slightly different. But understanding one, trader psychology, and one, understanding what the charts are telling you is going to be important. So I'll say it again. Book number 1, Steve Neeson, Japanese Candlestick Charting Techniques. It's like an old school book. That's like, I don't even know how old at this point. It's a very old book. And Mark Douglas, Trading in the Zone. So one is for absolute just technicals, not even technicals. It's just to understand what a candle means, right? Everyone should know what, when you look at this, and instead of being able to say, oh, that's a tail, or that's a up bar, or whatever, know what it means. It means the market was willing to go up this high. That's what the tail is for. It closed here. You need to know that. Forget all the other stuff like, oh, well, that's a dark cloud, or that's a 3-bear pattern, or marching bears, or I don't even know the names anymore. It doesn't even really matter. You just need to know what that meant in terms of volume. There was buyers here, there were sellers here, they tried, they failed, something like that, right? So those are the 2 books I would suggest. And obviously Trader Psychology, big time, huge, important thing when it comes to trading, because once you get past the ability to see charts and analyze and set up trades, then it's about management. And management is so much harder. Can you sit in a trade like Facebook where it's up at this point, $7 in the money, and be okay with it coming back, you know, another $4? So you're willing to leave $4 on the table. Are you okay with that? Because I am. And that's just part of the psychology that I have built for myself. Right? So it's like you need to develop that for yourself, whatever that is. I think psychology, big time. It's so much more important once you get past the initial stage, which is finding your entries. Once you find your entries, you got to figure out how you manage them, and that's where the money is made, right? It's not as hard to find entries as it is to manage positions the right way, and that's huge. So definitely work on your trader psychology. Hopefully those 2 books help. Okay, what do we got? We got 1.9K likes. Guys, I know you guys can do 100 likes in the next 5 minutes, right? That's doable. I think it's one of those things where it's not a big ask. All right. Everyone's like a fresh Krispy Kreme donut. Awesome while he's here, but gone without a trace. So a lot of time when you guys put up comments, I've got some story attached to it because I've had some experience somewhere. So I had never had a Krispy Kreme donut until I was in, of all places, Australia. I was in Melbourne, Australia, and I had my first Krispy Kreme donut. And it was just never one of those things. I was just like, Krispy Kreme, whatever. And then I show up there. I'm like, you know what? I feel like trying Krispy Kreme now because it's there. And so my international taste test of Krispy Kreme, even though it was around. There we go. 2K likes? Yes, sweet. So we got 2K likes solo. So if I can do 2K on my own, you know we can do 3K together with Prad when he's back. So definitely a project that we're going to work on for the rest of the week. Hopefully you guys like the content. I know we got a few more minutes before we hand it off to the guys. Can you at least do the Paka Paka before the show ends? Team PJ, the straight up answer is no. 1, I don't know what it means. 2, it doesn't sound not cool, but it doesn't, I don't know. It's just, it doesn't sound right to me. And 3, somebody else also said it means something else in Portuguese. So that's the excuse I'm going to go with. I don't know what it means, so I'm not going to say it. But straight up, I don't see what the big deal is with the donut. I mean, it was good. It goes pretty, you eat it pretty fast. All right. What do we got here? I got 2Ks. Thank you guys. 2K in likes. Thank you guys so much. We got 2,800 likes. Flex for likes. Ooh, that's a big ass, Mookie. No, I can't do that. That's going to be too much in your face. Let's not do that. I appreciate everyone trying, though, but we're not going to do that. They should do a futures trading show here. Well, I mean, I come on and I kind of just talk about trading or futures levels that I can work with. So we'll see. As I talk about that, though, I am going to go ahead and send an order for the futures. I'll see if I can grab some contracts south or closer to, closer to 90. So I'm going to go ahead and send an order closer to 90 on the futures. So I've gone ahead and put an order here. I think it's worth taking a shot on the long side. We may have an upside here, so why not take a look, right? So we're at 158. We're gonna do a little bit more. I know we've got a couple more minutes left. Let me quickly look over the chat, see if there's anything that I missed out that I want to take care of before I head out. Fun, everyone asking about fun. Sean's going to talk about it in a few minutes, I'm sure, when we get back. The key to success is failure. USA Forever, a quote from Michael Jordan, 100%. That's where you learn a lot. You learn a lot from your failures, definitely. All right, what do we got here? I think we're going to what's your futures play? D-Money, I just mentioned that. Oh, man. It was sitting at 95 when I put the order out. Okay, my futures read is not. I want to grab a long as close as to 90 as possible, just because we're within a range. I don't want to step up. So the risk on this long here is going to be about 25 points. And if it goes without me, it's okay, because the problem is that we're stuck in a range, right? We're stuck in a tight range, so I can't step up. I like the setup now, but I can't step up to take the trade because of where we are. If I step up and take it at evens, I'm putting 35 points in risk, and I don't even know if I can get 35 points back. So for me, for the time being, I'm going to be waiting down here, low 90s, see if I can get a fill. I don't care if it takes out 4,500. I don't care if it takes out, I do care if it takes out 45.10. If it takes out 45.10, this trade is done. Like, I can't, there's no chance I can make sense of the risk at that point, because if it turns around at 45.10, then I don't even know if this long is valid anymore, because the move has run its course, right? So I'm just going to wait it out. And if I can get that fill, hopefully we get a nice little pullback here from this 4,500 down towards 44.90s. I'll put up 25 points, like I mentioned, off the top. And guys, it's been a great time. We'll have Prad back soon. We'll have Platinum Prad back next week. And then with Platinum Prad back next week, Valeria is also, Platinum Prad will be in next week. Prad will be here this week. Valeria will be back next week as well. Great time, guys. Thank you so much. And Joe, thank you for the $5 super chat. We got to 2K likes. Till tomorrow, guys. Thank you so much. And here we are off to the afternoon show.
All right, thanks, Arun. Great job today. We'll take you right through to the close. Welcome to the close. Final 2 hours to go, guys, in a kind of choppy Monday. Back and forth we go for the indexes today. We are positive currently. Right back to basically flat, though, here for the S&P. 0.16.